What is up, party people? So, I was inspired to do this stream from our wonderful, wonderful friends over at 24/7. I was over there just hanging out, and started talking about whether or not gravity was a force, and Einstein superseding Newton, and it kind of just rehashed everything that I was, thinking about, with like seek and find and his BS and blah 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 blah. And it's it's almost comical, and I hate saying that, but I truly think that for the most part, um, people they're literally just doing this for the fun of it now. Um, Basically, the argument that they have still over, or a solid argument. At least here's one thing. At least if you go to 24/7, the argument, because all that he thinks one thing and they think the other thing doesn't work that way over there. You have to think one way or you'll get kicked, banned, or whatever. But basically, as usual, it's density. The second I asked about being a vector, they wanted to obfuscate and right off the bat go, you have to presuppose it's not gravity. Then he said, show me the source of gravity, like anyone ever said they did. That's always a fun one. And then, yada, 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 yada. Again, the idea that you want to explain to somebody something that is telling you how wrong you are, clearly having no clue. So it didn't last long. I ended up getting kicked after letting the guy know he was full of shit, which I love to do there. Get one screen down. And then it's like I said, it's just ridiculous. Let me see who's in the chat. What's up, Soul Survivor? What's up, Fletcher? How you doing? It's been a while. Glad to see you back. What's up, RT? What's up, Sean Smith, brother from another mother? What's up, Sasha? Still waiting on that report, yo. All right. What's up, Fight the Deception? How you doing? Sean says, shouldn't tides be higher on one side? Oh, I'm so happy you brought tides up, because I also had a wonderful conversation about the tides at the Great Lakes, which a conversation we had here, which I got kicked for. I get kicked for everything there, but we're gonna go over that as well. 5-7, if you want to come on the panel, let me know. Or matter of fact, okay, I already put the link out there. What's up, Sasha? How you doing? You may have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? So, you ready for a LIGO presentation and everything? Any mutes?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
I'm just messing with you.
I've been busy.
No worries. I'm just messing with you. I'm gonna finish saying what's up to everybody. All right. So, what's it, RT? You're here. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Who else is here? What's up, Aaron? Aaron, I don't think you've been on the panel with Sasha before. Sasha is under 18, and I do have very strict rules. Let me finish this. Aaron, before you start getting on going, just understand, I don't think you've been on with Sasha. I do have strict rules, and this is for anyone who comes on the panel right now. Sasha's here, so if you come on, the cussing will have to come to a minimum, and anything explicit will be not tolerated. And if you don't like it, peace. But yeah, how you doing, Aaron?
I'm good. You're fired for being late, Sean.
Thank you, sir. Let me finish saying what's up to everyone, and we'll get into this. I'll focus on the hangout. Aaron, you're here. What's up, Secret? Almost done. Almost got it done. Hey, what's up, Marty? What's up, they and them? What's up, Digital? And I think that's it. Yep, done. Sean Smith says, my vector is truth. Exactly. And what's up, Dory? GPS.
Sean.
What's up? What's up, kid? What's up? How's your night going, Aaron?
We're good.
just good, not great.
We're okay. I mean, how was your Sunday going? You know what I mean? Like,
It was wonderful.
it was a nice day here in Texas.
Fuck Texas. Anyway, so we don't really need to get into the details of gravity and all that kind of stuff. We obviously talked about that 1,000 times. I mean, I definitely have questions still. I definitely think that, how do you say it? I think the quest for the source of gravity is a awesome quest. Is it possible? I don't know. In my brain, does dark matter, dark energy throw a twist into a lot of things? Absolutely. But here's the kicker. Everything I've learned about Newton and Einstein and their ideas of how things worked is this. At one scale, something works a certain way. At another scale, it may not work. Something supersedes it, continues on, and so forth and so forth. As we go to a bigger scale, say, the universe, it is almost most likely, it just common sense wise, that gravity won't change, but whatever the effects of what we're observing that are happening, those are always going to change because we're always going to learn more and more and more about it. Thinking of something that's different of gravity, that's a dangerous game because then you got to explain what buoyancy does, why it's buoyancy. You got to figure out, why weight is weight, not mass,
Density.
Stuff like that.
Sean, I have a question between me and you. Friends, we don't know shit about gravity. 9.8 meters per second squared. 9.8 meters per second. If I ask you this question, we're just sitting at a bar talking. That's an acceleration value,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is gravity's an acceleration, right? We can calculate gravity by acceleration.
By acceleration, or is the acceleration?
That's the question. Like you just
Oh.
said, like we don't know, right? But what would you say if G is 9.8 meters per second per second? Is that gravity?
No, it's an acceleration of. That's not gravity because the acceleration isn't what produces the acceleration. You know what I mean? It's not the creator of, and that's kind of what you just asked.
Okay. So G,
right? Am I wrong?
little
I felt like
g
that's
is
what you
not
asked.
little g is not equal to a constant of acceleration.
Say it one more time.
Is little g equal to a constant of acceleration?
I believe so. Yeah.
So little g is an acceleration.
The force for the acceleration.
See, here's where we get to the.
Yeah,
here's
I
where we
threw
get to the
a
word
wrench in
salad.
there. You didn't think I was going to say that, huh?
Here's where we get to the word salad. Little g is a constant based upon an acceleration, right?
A force that creates the acceleration. Yes.
Okay.
Not
All
backing
right,
down.
yeah. All right, good. Hey, good answer. I'll keep thinking about it.
And I do want to, credit Seek and Find and all those guys for my knowledge in gravity. Because, again, just repeating the conversations and going over notes and everything makes it so I can actually not have to stutter through everything anymore. It's getting great. I'm starting to really enjoy it.
No, that's good. But you keep saying that word force before you say.
It's definitely
yes.
a force. It's definitely a force.
Okay, but so I'm not gonna touch on that yet.
You sure?
But,
It's a force.
But in the equation, in the equation, little g is equal to an acceleration. Now,
it's
this is where you guys throw in the F, the force, throw the F bomb. But little g is an acceleration. It's not a
is it
force itself, right?
sure
In the equation, yeah.
sure.
On paper, absolutely.
Okay, now start over because I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even paying attention. I was doing something.
Me neither. Actually, I'm actually not sure, but just from what I've learned from Seek and Find and all these people,
Not a good person to learn
little
from.
g,
He's
little
very
g
disingenuous.
is the constant of acceleration. That's how you can determine weight, and calculate mass, all that shit.
That's good that you're learning. Proud of you,
Shit.
buddy.
Yeah. Ninja, I knew this shit forever.
I knew what? What? No, you didn't. No, I don't believe it.
I definitely didn't learn it from your show.
Well, I can definitely guarantee you know a lot more than you put on. So we all know you have issues with that. But no comment,
I'm a
right?
NASA scientist. Yeah.
You're what?
I'm the whistleblower from NASA.
You be blowing whistles at NASA? Like,
Yeah.
never mind.
Tweet, tweet.
So okay, so I almost called you Travis. Wow, Aaron, what gravity? Everything works the same for you?
Gravity works the same for me. What do you mean? Just
You believe in
lightly-
gravity. You
lightly
understand.
elaborate.
You understand that the reason things fall is gravity, right? What's up, Toady? How you doing, sir?
I understand the reason things fall is only because there's a potential energy there, Sean. Something has picked that thing up.
No, nope.
Right? Yeah.
Ready? And I talked about this yesterday or a few days ago. I think you were here, man. Okay, so in my opinion, that's completely impossible because if we're talking potential energy, then it would be different pending the mass or the mass of whatever's putting that quote unquote energy into it. If that were, it would be different. It wouldn't have a constant. Oh, and it's not a vector, I think. I forget what Barney was saying that day. Because he was trying to... I don't know very much about the potential energy and kinetic energy like I think I should. So once it got to that point, it was like, okay, I need to look into it. Started to, but, Travis and all. What's up, Jose?
Sean, what if the Earth was supposed to be a perfect sphere? Remember, the perfect shape in...
that 8 inches per square mile
math,
would work perfectly.
Well, what if it was supposed to be? But yeah, we have mountains, we have all sorts of...
Oh, you mean if we lived on a piece of paper?
No. I'm asking a legit question, Sean. Just hear me out. Okay. If the Earth was supposed to... Because the one thing about gravity that I cannot explain is like a rock slide. Have you seen a rock slide?
Yeah.
Off a mountain, Well, who lifted that up? I didn't lift the fucking rocks up there, right? You didn't lift the rocks up there. Because potential... Why are they going down, right?
Matter of fact, they started up. Erosion.
Sure.
Gravity erosion happens because of it. Yeah. But see, here's the thing.
But what I was saying was, if the Earth was supposed to be a perfect sphere, which is the most geometrically perfect shape, I guess, and the Earth is not a perfect sphere, wow, that kind of explains why we have rock slides, why, shit. Well, no. Why else would you have a fucking half a mountain fall off the half of a mountain? Like what? And it goes down. That's what I'm saying.
Well, erosion. Erosion will eat away at the topography underneath of those rocks that are above it, and then gravity takes over after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, Sean.
And the fact it's not perfect.
Sean, I would say more that it plays the same effect, or it's involved in the slide as much as the erosion itself. because it's always there. It's what makes the erosion actually happen. You know what I mean? That
Sean,
small chunk breaks off, or that the stream follows that course because.
Right, but the rain will have a factor in it, wind, all that stuff.
Yeah,
It's all like the topography and
Sean,
nature.
Sean Smith, I
Yes, sir.
understand why the rock slide happens, but Sean G asked me why does it go down, right?
I did.
And so
I did.
well, yeah, you said what is the vector
Oh.
of gravity down?
I did.
And so
So
maybe you didn't, but yes, I know you're getting to there, Sean. You were getting there. And so Sean Smith,
hang on, because Tody's been trying to
so
say something.
why does a rock slide? Why does a
Jesus
rock
Christ.
slide? I understand how it happens, Sean.
Uh-huh.
Sean Smith. I understand how rock slides happen, erosion, all that stuff. But why does it go down? Okay, because this is the question, right? For flat earthers, for globe earthers, they already know. But why does it go
Because
down?
the force of
Well, what if a sphere was trying to keep equilibrium into itself, being a perfect sphere?
so that was the point I was trying to make. That you mentioned it's a perfect sphere, and obviously you know it isn't because it's an oblate sphere. That really is the proof that actually it's revolving and moving, because the reason it's an oblate sphere is obviously if mass was warping space-time,
Doesn't mean
you
it's
would
moving.
hang
Doesn't
on.
mean
If,
it's moving.
Hang on, Aaron.
hang on. So if mass was warping space-time, you would get an absolute perfect sphere. The fact it's moving is the reason that we have an oblate sphere, and that it bulges by about, I don't know, I think it's 14 kilometers or something at the equator.
So Tody's, if we weren't moving, got it. Thank you, sir.
Yep. See what I mean? If we weren't moving, yep. Okay, we would virtually be a perfect sphere. Yeah.
And that because the other forces that were acting upon the Earth
Why not?
have created this weird shape, basically.
Hello, everyone.
Does gravity
What's up, sir?
move, Cody?
Howdy.
I mean,
Hello there.
gravity's not moving.
Just a quick point. The term for the erosion is actually it's called subaerial denudation. That's
Good point. Thank
that
you.
is the only thing I learned from geography.
Yeah, but if we would have said that, and honestly, I know that word, but it's not like a word I use because then you don't even use that word unless you're basically in a book or writing a publication about something, or like a study
Exactly.
about something.
Hydrological
Exactly.
biologies, yeah.
It's terms like that people just throw around just normally.
Yeah.
I use it normally.
Because I hear that a lot. Like when I was doing a lot of demoing, blasting granite rock, I would hear that term a lot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with the actual gravitational force, except for the fact that things, if they get blown around, rub against each other, and the same thing happens in the oceans. They rub because they're pulled to the center of the Earth.
Cool. So that was kind of my line of thought, Sean, was if the Earth was a perfect sphere, or it wants to be, right? It wants to be a perfect sphere. That's why things may go down, which is what we all call down, is because the Earth is trying to equilibrate itself, put everything into a perfect sphere, kind of.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree with.
Yeah. Once you get the planetary body this big, they're always almost perfectly spherical. The smaller they get, the more likely they are to be misshapen. That's why there's the asteroid Ultima Thule, for example. There's just a mess, and all these different sort of little small bodies are kind of potatoes and things. But once they get big, that's one of the reasons why we kind of understand that gravity
That's all
exists.
cool. That's all cool and stuff, but Einstein doesn't say that.
I don't know what Einstein says. All I'm talking about is what we observe. When the planetary bodies, when the stellar bodies get big,
It sounds
he
great,
absolutely,
especially when a flat earther says
always spherical.
but that's not what Einstein says.
He absolutely does. He absolutely does say that, because the forces that are generated by the fact that the Earth is moving at about 1,000 kilometers an hour at its
Not
center.
what Einstein says.
Stop.
Yeah,
Aaron,
it's
hang on.
center.
Let him finish.
Yeah. So the fact it's going at about 1,000 miles an hour at its center, and the fact that you've got a differential between the center and the other parts on it, like the experiment I did did you see the experiment where I weighed the same weight at the equator pretty much in Egypt, and then I weighed it in the UK, and it was a different weight? Did you see that experiment?
Did you take temperature, pressure, barometric pressure?
Yeah, I took the same
humidity?
height.
Did you
Yeah,
take-
nothing else was
take all those
reacting upon.
measurements also?
Have a look at what I did. Yeah, these are. This is a
And
well plowed.
What was the
Yeah, this is a well plowed
discrepancy?
field.
What was the discrepancy?
This is a well plowed field.
Tell you what
Yep,
you could do rather than okay, individual experiments terrific, but do this. Go look up the GNOME experiment. GNOME, GNOME. There's a European, I think they're Danish, manufacturer of very high precision scales. They did like a publicity stunt. They sent a set of their scales and an ordinary garden gnome in a flight case, and they sent it all around the world, and different people measured the weight of the gnome on all these different places, including the equator and at the poles. At least one pole that I know. I think both poles.
Is the sun closer?
Go look at that up. Go look
at the
Go look
poles,
that. Go
or
look that
is
up.
it further away
Go
at
look
the
that up.
poles?
And here's the interesting thing is when I've
If the sun is
mentioned this in flat Earth debates, I've
electromagnetic,
never once had someone say, "Oh yes, I'll look that up."
And if it was
Do you guys
something
think that-
electromagnetic, that would mean that over the course of the year, that that gnome would change weights. If it was in the same location, that's a bullshit argument.
they only did it once, and this guy's trying to say, "Yep, this proves it." You know,
This guy is this guy.
Which guy is this guy?
What exactly, Aaron, are you saying is incorrect?
No, nothing's incorrect. I'm just saying that one observation of a gnome.
It's not one
going-
observation.
Okay,
That-
well, okay.
Actually, they did it more to verify or prove it was correct than to see if it was correct. You understand
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
the GNOME experiment was just a publicity stunt that. What's the name of the scales company? If you look it up, you'll find out. Someone look it up, and I can't right now. Someone look it up and tell me what the name of the company. It's a 4-letter name of the company.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, you have seen it. So yeah, it's just not one guy. This is multiple people over multiple months. This thing being sent all over the world.
Yeah. And the discrepancy is what?
The discrepancy that I found was 0.22 of a gram per 100 grams in the difference between, don't laugh, the UK and Egypt. Yeah, and then also actually weighed it in Portugal where it was 100.11 grams. Yeah,
And
so I did it in 3 places so far.
No
Not
other
to mention-
factors except
No, and
Except
this is other
latitude, longitude.
issue. Again, that was just kind of a publicity. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's all it
thing.
was.
But hundreds and thousands of people have done this themselves, just traveling and knowing the fact.
Yeah, this is
Current
not
is
a,
the name of the company.
it's a
So-
no,
so-
this
so-
is no thing.
So a lot of people obviously talking. I've got to keep my voice
Sorry.
down because it's quite late here.
Yeah.
So apologies. So the point is, this is a very well known thing. It's been very well plowed. We've talked about this a lot before with people who buy gold. The fact that you can't use physical beam balances because, of course, they also change depending where you are on the Earth. But the point I was trying to make about this is that things at different locations on the Earth, between the North Pole and the South Pole, weigh different amounts. And it is that force that helps to cause the bulge that we see at the equator on the Earth.
good.
Because
So
different
let's
parts of the
go
Earth-
all the way back to what I was first talking to Sean about. Is little g is not a constant.
I don't think anyone said that it's constant across the face of the Earth because, of course, gravity
Yeah,
varies. That's why we have gravimeters and we can
that's
measure it.
why-
All right, so we
that's
can
why
all
I-
agree. We can all
Aaron,
agree.
that's why I hesitated when I was answering that because I'm thinking in my head which one. If we found big G, that would be the constant. That would be like it wouldn't turn off or on ever. It would just be.
Okay. But little
I mean,
g.
we know this because of Cavendish, right? We know this because of mountains. We know this when you have very sensitive scales and you weigh something near to a very, very large mass, right? It varies a lot. Rock types vary. You know, of course it
I mean,
varies.
it's cool. It's cool that your guys' proof is a gnome flying,
Yeah.
over the earth.
I mean, that's what Channel X mentioned. My proof isn't a gnome. It was a weight. I
on the
didn't weigh
publicity
any
stuff,
gnomes.
nevertheless.
Okay.
But
Hey,
come
hang
on,
on.
guys.
I think you're missing the
Okay.
point there, Aaron. You
Hang on,
didn't
Aaron,
listen to what I said. You just carried on talking,
Yeah,
didn't you?
hang on, Aaron.
Yeah.
Tony,
I'm
so
going to
in the-
drop
in the-
anyway because it's quite late. So,
Okay.
did you have something for me, Sean? Because
well,
obviously I'm just.
Well, there was a question in the chat that I think is a good question. It's from Fight the Deception. I know he's not trying to troll right now. He said, is the variation due to the oblateness being further from center or due to the rotation of the Earth?
So the understanding of when I did the calculations with Rumpus, and he has a whole section on this, yeah, so he's the best person to describe it, is I think it's 3 or 4 different factors actually. The angle does come into it, so it's a very good question. Does the oblateness make it vary? And so I think the oblateness does to some extent, but it's also to do with the angle. But the main reason for the variation in the weight is, of course, the distance that you are from the axis. So I think there's actually 3 things involved, because it's quite a complicated calculation when you try to do it. It's not just a linear form depending on where you are. So I think there's 3 factors involved.
So distance from axis and oblateness. I never heard gravity in there.
And speed, of course. Yeah.
Right. So
Rotational
notable is in 3 years, I learned about this, many years ago, and I mention it when I'm debating or chatting. Rarely, I don't actually debate, but when I'm chatting in flat Earth, chats like this, I've mentioned this at least 50 different occasions. And in every single occasion, there is one single person who actually looked it up and took me to task on whatever anomaly of the readings or anything. There's never been an occasion where anybody on the flat Earth side has actually looked up the gnome experiment. Not once.
I'm a Glober and I've never looked it up. I actually want to look it up.
It's one of those things. It's just funny.
Hey, let me say this real quick. Thank you, Digital. Demonic, he left the super chat and it says, nope, or not broken. Gravity sucks. Actually, it doesn't though. Neither does the vacuum of space. Someone should take that to a repair shop.
I think what he means is that he fell.
Oh.
Here you go. I'll just share it, right? This is your answer. I found the paper that we used. I've just looked it up, Aaron. Oh, very quickly, actually. I can probably, I might be able to show you actually the weights, but here's the paper. Okay. This is a variation of gravity with the latitude and elevation. So as I say, both come into it. There's a variation of gravity with latitude. And then it gives you the calculation here, and it shows you also obviously the reference ellipsoid, which is sorry.
Yeah, we've seen this.
No, I haven't. So stop.
So you've seen what? I'm not sure you've probably seen this paper before, because it takes you through, and it shows you.
But let's go. Go ahead.
And it shows you how the centrifugal forces vary with latitude, and then cause a difference in the weight. And this is the reference paper that we used when we were working this out. Yeah, and it takes you through all of those forces plus the calculation, which is quite complicated. Yeah, and as you can see, there's a number of variations.
Is the cause, right?
Say that again.
So latitude is the cause.
So there's a number. Look, as I say, look, the paper takes you through variation of gravity with latitude and elevation, variation of gravity with latitude, centrifugal force varies with latitude. Yeah, and this is quite
Aaron.
Sorry, where's the spin of the Earth calculated into that?
Rotation.
Do you want me to share this paper? I don't know if it's a link, or whether I can share it in there. But then we can look through. Yeah, because it was quite complicated maths we had to do to work it out. Yeah, and they give a reference example here. How much lighter would you feel after driving from Edmonton to Calgary, for example? Yeah, and then they show you and take you for an example.
Nice.
0.10001 gram.
Yeah, look, 19 grams over 80 kilograms. Yeah, it's not a lot. Let me just
very,
show.
Very little.
It's measurable.
It may be measurable, Sean. It may be.
Here's the interesting.
Here we go. So hang on.
Go,
let me just show you. Here's Portugal. This is 100 gram weight. In Portugal, it weighs 100.08 grams. Can you see the screen?
No.
Yeah.
No, because of the way it's the digital screen to.
I can see it.
I can see it pretty
fine.
There you go.
I can't. Oh, I can't see the numbers. All I see is blue.
You can't see the numbers here.
I see 100.08.
Can you see that? 100.08. Okay.
It's a little indistinct.
I literally
okay,
don't
hang
see
on.
it.
So you got 100.
At the same time, I
so you got 100.
So
you got 100.08. I've just shown it on the screen. Someone else can read it. Okay, let's look at the next one.
No.
100.
Okay, so I can see it. I just looked.
Over each other.
Aaron, shut up. Shut up, Aaron.
Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Can we see this?
In the Hangout, I can't see the numbers, but on my OBS, I can see the numbers.
That's
All right,
strange.
fantastic. Okay,
It's-
so the next one, can we see this one?
Yep.
Yes, 100.
Right, this is not Portugal. Yeah, this is not Portugal. This is the UK now. Okay. All right, and now I think I've got Egypt.
Show me a picture. Show it to me.
That's a
Aaron,
picture of
showing it.
Egypt.
Showing it right
just
now.
hang on, I'm just trying to find it.
Be calm, sir.
Here we are. Here's Egypt.
All we got, I know. Show me.
And there we go. Look, it's exactly 100 in Egypt. Isn't that funny?
Oh man!
Wild.
Yeah.
Now,
So the only place where it's actually completely accurate happens to be next to the
200
pyramids, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah.
200. 200 supergrams.
Here's
Yeah,
the
that's
interesting. I've just noticed
0.22
something.
of a gram. Yeah. Sorry.
I've noticed in the chats. In the chats where the flat earthers tend to have a lower level of understanding of science, such as this. No offense, I'm sorry. That sounds like a put down. I don't mean to be put down. I'm sorry. All right, there's just these sort of measurements
better than he used to be.
Yeah, these sort of measurements are just hand waved away. Okay, when you go into flat Earth chats where they have a slightly higher level of understanding of science, say if you call globe busters, they won't allow that sort of thing even in because they just block you. Isn't that interesting?
No. 200ths of a gram. I mean, that's
Yeah.
measurable. You're right.
That is measurable,
Okay.
right?
No.
And
If it's predictions.
So,
No.
can I ask a question? Can I
Hang
ask
on.
On
you
the
guys?
globe, it's predictable.
You've presented. You've done
What's the
your
point?
thing. Can I
Hang
ask
on.
a question about it?
It's more than 200. It's more
Can
than
I ask
200.
a question about the 200s?
Only
Not
if
It's
you,
200.
210.
yes,
Yeah.
and you have to ask a question, not a monologue.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
It's time to ask a question.
It's a fifth of a gram.
What is
right?
what is causing that deviation?
The variations in gravity.
So the
You
three things.
tell us.
the-
If it's on a flat Earth, what would explain that?
Yeah,
Explain
that'd
that
be
one.
better.
Gravity.
It's not really even the fluctuation of gravity for the most
It's
part.
not gravity. It's the three things I just described. It's the speed that you're going in function of the latitude. It's the altitude that you're at, and it's also the angle that location is at.
I get
What
it.
would
I get it.
Yes.
So in
So
England, it's 1 gram, right? And on the equator or near there, it's 1.22.
No, you've got it completely backwards. And
Okay, all right,
Alright.
okay, so it's backwards. So in
So-
England, it's 1.22, and
No,
on the equator, it's 1, right?
So I'll give you the figures again. In Egypt, it was exactly 100 grams. Okay, so say 100 grams. In England, it was 100.22 grams. So it was a fifth of a gram heavier in England.
Okay.
And that's because in Egypt, you're nearer to the middle of the Earth. Yeah. And so therefore, because you're spinning faster, if you think of it this way, the weight. Hang on, let me explain it so you can understand it. Hang on.
see, Aaron's trying to jump on your case to say that you said middle of the earth, not equator. So that's what he's trying to jump on you
Hang
about.
on.
No.
Guys.
I didn't know. He said,
Guys,
I
stop.
forgot he
Aaron,
said Egypt,
stop.
not equator.
Aaron,
It's okay.
stop. 'Cause I
Guys.
want him to continue on. Because
Right, I'm going to drop
Tony,
in a sec because I
there-
can't speak loudly because I'm going to wake half the house up.
yeah,
If people
and-
keep talking over me, it's going to get very frustrating. Okay,
Yeah,
so I have to
and
keep my voice
Aaron-
down.
Aaron, I'm gonna give you the
At least
warning
let me
now.
complete. Then you can answer. I don't mind you answering, but just let me complete. Right. So
Go on,
when you're
Zodi.
the easiest way to understand it is when you're at the equator. Okay, the Earth is spinning around, and you're on top of that oblate part. If you imagine that the weight is being thrown at a greater speed away from the Earth than it is as you move towards the North Pole. So if you imagine, it's like the merry-go-round or whatever, I suppose, or something. Yep. If you're nearer to the center, you're going much, much faster. So you're going 1,000 miles an hour, I think it is, roughly, isn't it, at the equator. And when you're in England, you're only going 980 miles an hour. Okay. So basically that weight is being thrown further away, which is why it's lighter. That's the easiest way to think of it. Okay, carry on.
Okay, so that's our explanation. What's the flat Earth explanation?
Hang on, Channel. One thing. Wasn't there a third measurement? Because I'm writing it down.
There was. That was in Portugal. Yeah, and that was 100.09. And by the way, Sean, I tried to work it out just logarithmically. Doesn't work. It's just really complicated because I tried to do it like easily. Yeah, and Rumpus.
Okay.
I've usually tried to do it proportionally. Yeah.
Well, because so I'm just trying to think it out in my brain. I would work off of the longitude lines if I'm trying trying to figure out how that works.
That's what I tried to do. So I took the longitude lines, and then what I did is I took the speed, that we're traveling at, because you can look up the speed that we're traveling at. That is part of the equation, but it doesn't work in the simplistic way that you and I would probably like to think it is. Yeah, it gets into some really quite complicated mathths
Because it's not uniform.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It isn't uniform. It's it's sort of exponential, if you like. Yeah. And by the way, the other question is quick question. You'll say, what was the temperature? What was the pressure? What was the height? I made sure that the heights were the same where the weights were taken. So I wasn't higher or lower above sea level at any of the points, which is an important point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if I was up a 1,000-meter mountain taking that weight, that would also show a variation because of the elevation, which was the check question.
So my question then, I was going to reiterate my question, which was, that's our explanation, the Earth is spinning. What's the explanation on flat Earth?
I always thought about that because one of the things that I thought about was when I was a flat earther is why couldn't flat Earth be rotating? I mean, I get it. The star patterns and like what we see doesn't work, but that was one of the things that I questioned. Why couldn't it rotate on a flat Earth?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, here's the thing about the answers to those questions. They can be hand waved away and they say, well, I don't know, because on the flat Earth side, they don't actually need to have any answers. It isn't necessary for any flat earther to answer any question about anything, because nothing about flat Earth is necessary for aviation or navigation of any kind, of any sort, right? So that it isn't necessary to answer those sort of questions. They can just say, oh no, who knows? Let's go on to the next topic, and that's how it sort of goes. So
I should argue that
never get answered.
I'd actually argue that on flat Earth, navigation becomes a huge problem.
Well, right. But that's why flat earthers don't navigate. They use Globe. They use GPS.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. What's up?
Hey, to the gentleman that just put out the scale measurements there. So in Egypt, it was 1 gram point
100 grams.
Yeah.
England,
yeah,
100.22 grams.
And he said that possibly it's because in England he was further away from the center of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say where he did the weights.
Are you further away from the center of gravity, sir?
Then from where? From the first two?
From Egypt. From Egypt.
I told you he was going to come back at you with this whole. You said center of the Earth instead of equator.
Okay. It's okay. I'll answer it.
Not equator, Egypt. I've been there. No worries.
It is from the center because the equator is the furthest, but it's his word
No,
salad.
not equator. Egypt's still on like the 20th.
I know, Aaron. That's not what I was saying.
The point is,
as I say, I could ask a question, Sean. Can I ask it?
Okay,
you've already asked it, and it was nothing if not predictable.
Yeah.
I just would like to know if on either of those points that the gentleman presented with his scale and his weight, which one was further away from the center of gravity?
As I explained carefully, I took the height above mean sea level, which is against the WGS84 ellipsoid. So you do have to calculate that in, which is quite difficult because it's part of the base calculation of the ellipsoid. But in terms of mean sea level, which of course is not a perfect sphere, as you already know, it's part of what WGS84 projection. And indeed, I will show you now and show you how it varies. Okay, just to show you how much variation we're showing. Okay, I took it to be the same height. But if you want to see the variation, have a look, because this is why I was explaining to Sean. You can't just do it proportionately. So this is from the 1967 GRS system, which the Americans use. And as you can see here, as your latitude varies, so also does the grams, the amount of gravity due to that same effect. And as you can see, it goes up like this.
Because you're further away from the center, or why?
It's because of the speed, as I explained. So the main variation that you see in that weight is because of the speed, which is why I tried to equalize the height.
On a higher latitude, and if you're spinning less,
You're going slower.
Feel more gravity, I guess, right?
You are.
If you have
Let me just think about it. Hang on. So you're less thrown away. Yep, you're right. You feel more gravity. Correct. Yes, you're heavier.
How come you didn't then? Why? How come you didn't measure that?
That's exactly what I showed. That's precisely.
I thought you said it was 1.22 in Egypt.
I don't understand. Why is? I don't get it.
I understand.
No.
Maybe it's
You're backwards again. It was England. England 1.22.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's the fifth time you've been. That's the fifth time you've been told that.
Yeah. So it was basically lighter. It was lighter in Egypt, which is absolutely what we would expect to see, and absolutely follows the graph that we just seen here.
Right now, what's the explanation on a flat Earth?
Now I have one more question. If you took that weight, the same weight, down to the equator, would it weigh less than 100 kilograms?
It probably would, like 99 point something, because I wasn't quite on the equator in Egypt, was I? If we look at where Egypt is.
No.
Yeah, I was not quite there. Yeah. Well, not far, but I was close. I was close, but still not there.
Halfway through Africa to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go to some pretty nasty places to measure it, but I'm happy to send you the weight if you're going to one of those places. It'd be interesting, and the scales.
Okay, so let's talk about the 0.22.
Yeah.
Or you could answer his question, because you've gotten to answer five consecutively now.
He's not going to be able to. You don't even need to play that game.
No.
No.
I'm asking questions like, what is the explanation on flat Earth? Because I know there is no explanation on flat Earth.
Listen, fellas, calm down.
I'm calm.
Is 0.22 a measurable effect of gravity on a spinning sphere, 24,000 miles in circumference, moved up through the latitudes to the pole? Can you calculate that, is all I'm saying. Like, can you say, well, you know what, I moved up this much on a spinning sphere with this much gravity to begin with, but I'm only rotating it this fast, so I should. Can you predict that measurement?
So hang on. So what we actually did is, in the first two instances, I just went and took the measurements, and like you, I got them actually mixed up, and the rumpus got very upset with me because obviously I was saying the numbers wrong.
Sorry, Brian.
Hang on. So then obviously we wrote it all down, and we went through 5 hours of a big lecture from rumpus and stuff. So when I did Portugal, what I didn't do is I didn't take any expectation of what it was going to be. So what I did is I just told rumpus what the weight was, not where I was. And so he calculated where I should be from that weight variation. And so the three weights, when you actually look at them, so it's quite interesting. So you could work out where someone was. If you had that 100 my scales and that weight, you could use it almost to work out roughly where in the, what the latitude of somebody was at. When rumpus did all the calculations, we were pretty close. I think we were at plus or minus 2 or something. So it was a pretty good.
2 grams?
Sorry?
Percent.
No, percent. Yeah, of the answer. Yeah.
Okay, well, the 0.2 is.
Now the scales. Hang on. No, hang on. So it's a couple of things that are important, Aaron. One is
2%.
Yeah. So one of the things.
2%.
No, not 0.2%. 2%, not 0.2%.
No, 0.2 is 2%.
No, that would be 20%.
Fuck off.
Learn how to do math, dickhead. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
So the precision was pretty good, right? Within the area of the scales, I would say.
Okay,
the scales, you can't use a beam balance scale, as I say. So physical scales you absolutely can't use because they change, obviously, physically. So you have to pretty much use electronic scales when you do it. And these electronic scales are not super accurate, right? I did test them when I got back. I weighed the weight in Egypt, as you saw, and in the UK before I left, and then when I got back. When I was doing the weights, it's probably a plus or minus 0.01 or 2 error. Yeah. which you get depending, where you put the weight and do you drop it on it, how you tar it, which is why I did a number of tests of the weight. Certainly the variation, as you saw, is 0.22. Yeah. So any error of 0.02 is not really going to skew your result, too much. So within the margins of error of the equipment that is very basic that I'm using, I think the result is definitely significant.
So, Cody, I have a question.
A few tests.
I have a question. If you went to the North Pole, where there is no rotation, significant centripetal.
Centripetal, yeah.
Centripetal, yeah.
What would the difference be from the North Pole? Have you calculated it from the North Pole? If you had your scale there with your weight, and then you went down to the equator, like what would the massive difference? What would the total?
I think it's in that paper that I just.
And what would it be due to, by the way?
So again, as I say, it is due to three things. We've gone over this before, but the main one is the rotational speed of where you happen to be on the Earth, the speed that you're rotating at. Yeah. Now, obviously, the North Pole is not a place.
Held that back, right?
Sorry.
But I thought gravity held that back, right? That flying off feeling, right?
Well, that's the whole point. But if you're moving faster, it's throwing you away a little bit more. That was how I was getting you to visualize it. Yeah?
I'm sure your weight wouldn't feel that, but do you think people would?
No, you would not detect that.
I don't think you'd feel the difference. It's so small, right? You saw that it was like 18 kilograms for somebody from Edmonton to Calgary. Yeah. So, I don't think it would be that significant.
Yeah, also, hang on, Aaron. Also, elevation can create a weight difference in the same spot. Also, if you are on something that has more mass, such as a small mound or mount that is full of granite, will actually have more mass than if you were down in the field that was just dirt.
Yeah, and these were the two things I mentioned earlier, Davros. Yeah, I mentioned both of them because they are elements you have to take into account when you're doing this kind of experiment as well. Is there a very, very large mass, as you say, next to you, especially like dense granite as opposed to sandstone or something? And what's the altitude you're at? And as I say, I tried to equate the altitude to, I took all of these readings about 30 meters above mean sea level. But, as I said before, there's a number of factors that come into play. Those ones generally, I guess, are really quite hard to measure. I don't know. I've never actually tried the altitude one or the mountain, the sort of granite to other one. But obviously, the one that I was trying to test here was what latitude I was at, which I think is pretty accurate.
Hey, demonic. Do folks have they ever in the past drilled into and blasted granite? Kind of.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Yeah. What do they do it for? What's the purpose?
So we can make granite bench tops and shit like that.
Or iron, or.
Oh,
right?
Gosh.
Why do you need to blast granite to get iron?
So, Aaron, I have a question. Why are you asking if you already know the answer?
Well, you don't mine iron from
demonic.
granite,
He's funny.
by the way.
He's a cool guy. He's cool.
Just to be clear, you don't mine iron ore from granite. Sorry,
No,
it's just that you don't do
not-
that.
But you have to get through granite, yes, to get to the iron.
Maybe on occasion and other things. More likely, probably sandstone or shale. Yeah.
I have a place just north of me called Iron Knob, where iron is at the surface.
Mm-hmm. That's why Australia is red, right?
No, that is not why Australia is red. That's because it's that colour of our sand.
Yeah.
It's rusting. Yeah, it's rusting.
No, it's not rusting.
Aaron has hit full troll mode.
Just for a second. Oh my God.
He's got the sails up and he's coasting away on this bastard.
I can't tell when he's in troll mode and not in troll mode.
So I've got a really interesting
But
one.
Tody, here's the thing. I respect your measurements, but I do have to just call into question the minuscule amount of difference that you measured. Could be way other factors than
Such
just
as?
gravity. Well, what about pressure?
What about it?
Density.
Do you have a reason to assume that it would be pressure or
What about
density
the
or
temperature
whatever?
of your scale? The temperature of your
Aaron,
scale would matter.
Aaron, density
right?
has nothing to do with gravity.
Listen, the temperature of his scale would matter.
So I'm happy to go through this. Shall we answer each of them in turn?
Yeah, and I know tearing it does all that, but
Go for
listen, the springs and the apparatus inside it, the electronics inside it, they're sensitive.
So this scale is rated down to minus 10 degrees C and up to 30 degrees C plus, and it was within those operating temperatures when I was taking the measurements that I made. I also put it in a pressure vessel in that other experiment that I did live on Jose's when someone raised exactly this question before.
Why would
So I've got a pressure vessel. Have you not seen my pressure experiments?
No, I haven't.
All right, so if you look at my channel, you'll see them. Okay, so I've got a pressure vessel. I put it inside a pressure vessel, which is where I was obviously testing my barometer and my thermometer to make sure, for Spurs's edification, that if you change the pressure, you don't change the temperature significantly. By the way, of course, it does change.
Did you succeed in edifying him?
No.
Cody, you missed my point. You missed my point. Point two.
Aaron, you have no point. You're just
point.
trying to drag it out.
This is just naysaying.
Point
we
two.
could move on
It's
topic wise.
Aaron,
that's fine.
Stop. Aaron,
Remember, at this level of scientific understanding, scientific things are hand waved away, which is what you're doing right now.
Hello, guys. I thought you needed an arsehole in here, so I thought I'd turn up.
So it's within.
Hello, arsehole. How you going?
Finally.
So it's within the accuracy of the scales. I was going to make a point which I didn't get to make because Aaron interrupted. So I'll go on and then I'll shut up. Okay. So the guy who came up with the quantum eraser experiment, the guy called Bell, I think Bell's theorem. Yeah. I think I've got him right. Maybe someone else, but I'll go and look it up in a sec. But I believe it's him. He also came up with a very novel way to detect either alien spaceships or stealth fighters, and or submarines as well. So what he did is he actually came up with a novel way of measuring gravitational variations, so that you could see where stealth fighters or presumably invisible spaceships are, because they would have some gravitational effect. The military actually researched it and did a proof of concept of his gravitational disruption device. I'll look it up and I'll post it in a sec because it's quite interesting. Yeah, so definitely these things can be measured. Sorry, I'll shut up.
I think that Dr. Bell's actually residing in Australia now.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not saying they can't be measured. You measured it. That's true. I'm just saying the small amount that was recorded.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Could it be anything?
That's fine. That's fine. Hand waving.
So I'll make my statement on it. Right, it's within the accuracy of the scales. Okay, and it's quite significant within the accuracy of the scales. So certainly the scales can measure that. Could it be something else? Of course it could. It's not just what I've done. I mean, I've done it so practically. You can talk to someone who's done it, but if you have a look around, people are doing it all the time. In fact, scale manufacturers have to adjust their scales depending where they're sent to in the world. And indeed, there are people who have a job of having to adjust their scales regularly. So we use at work some scales that need to be incredibly accurate. Yeah, and they go and adjust it with reference weights that they get from the ISO weights that are stored in London and then in Paris. Yeah.
So let me ask you this question: where was your scale made? Right? If you're going to go that far, say that scales have to be calibrated and measured. All I'm saying is point.
So my scale, when I bought it, I calibrated it. Yeah. Hang on. So I calibrated
about 30 degrees of latitude. It's not that great.
Aaron,
okay,
you have to let him answer.
Yeah, you're repeating. Okay, we get it. You don't buy it. Fine. What's your alternative explanation for these numbers aside from it could be?
Well, try it yourself. But by the way, Wolfie's got it online, and if you look at Versatium's site, he really goes into it in a lot of detail. And as I say, scale manufacturers do this all the time with reference weights. So there's a lot of this is a well understood thing, as I said before.
So the inaccuracy, the 0.2 that you measured from London.
It's not inaccuracy. It's 1/5 of a gram, which is quite significant.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not inaccuracy.
Due to what effect? What effect?
It just that's how many times?
Yeah.
Don't answer him. Don't answer him.
No, not going to do it. No. Who's typing?
Was it due? It was due to the rotation, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's to do with the speed, mainly. Yes.
Aaron, you have been told this 6 times.
Mainly, but not exclusively.
Yeah, the reason for the weight differential is because the speed slows down as you go north. The same thing happens if you go south. Because you slow down, you're not having as much pull on you. Do you understand?
No. Elaborate.
There's
No.
less centripetal force. Less
No, I'm not
centripetal
going to
force.
play this fucking game with you, Aaron.
Yeah, I
No,
think
it's not
no.
necessary.
Demonic. You said that backwards. There's more pull as you go north.
Okay, it's not
Oh,
not necessary. It's okay.
Brian, you got a hot mic, bud.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
okay, I'll
Isn't there more
reiterate. You
pull
don't have...
as you go north or south from the equator?
Listen. Hang on, listen. Okay, you don't have as much pull away from the planet.
What's pulling me away from the planet?
Mice.
Yeah, mice and unicorn forces. No,
Mice.
the turn of the Earth. Okay, as Toady has stated, you go faster at the equator than you do at a northern latitude. At the northern latitude, you weigh more because you are not being pulled away as much as you are at the center.
Okay, so gravity takes effect, is what you're saying, right?
No.
But it's not
Gravity
a
is
gravitational effect.
Okay, I'm muting.
Sorry, Channel X.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, your ignorance is showing here. Okay, exactly what Toady said. At Egypt, which is near the equator, it weighed 100 grams.
Not near, yeah, but go ahead.
What Toady said was at Egypt, near the equator, it weighed 100 grams. When he moved north towards England, it weighed 100.22 grams. Okay, the force of the planet spinning is less at the northern latitude than at the equator. Therefore, you weigh more because gravity has a greater pull on you.
How much more do we weigh from Egypt to England? 0.22 grams?
Yes.
Yeah,
not
versus 100 grams.
That's why you can't feel it.
That's a
That's why you
badass
can't.
force.
That's why you can't feel it.
That's an awesome force.
Even if the change were to be effected immediately, you still wouldn't be able to feel it because it happens so gradually. Of course, you can't feel it.
I have an honest question for you.
All the other questions have been dishonest.
Or if you can calculate it, or maybe the folks can help you out. The rotational speed of the Earth at Egypt is X miles an hour. The rotational speed in England of the Earth is Y miles an hour. What is the difference there, and does it equate to 0.22 grams? So if it's 500 miles an hour less, would that, like, can you give me an equation to equate these two weight? You took two weight measurements, I get it, but you're telling me it's all due to rotation.
I didn't say it was all due to rotation. As I explained,
can you equate the rotational speed into that 0.22 grams?
I showed you a paper of how we calculated it. It's really quite complicated, but I will again share the calculation so you can look at it. Well, it is. It's more complicated than you think because there's a number of factors involved, as I explained.
What have they
explained? Numerous. I think we went through it earlier. There were 3 factors at least that I mentioned. Yeah. But I will look up the reference again and link it in the chat so you can go and read it because it is pretty complicated. Yeah,
you've done a lot of research, Sodi. It sounds like.
Of course.
So if you took your weight from Egypt to England, which you have already, and then took it to the North Pole, can you give me a guesstimation how much it would weigh?
No, I'd have to do the calculations.
Why? You've already seen the papers. You've done all this math. It's quite complicated.
Which is really quite complicated.
From one point to another.
Well, I'm just telling you the truth. I can't give a guess, and I'm not going to guess because then I might get it wrong. And I like to be accurate about these things.
You can guess.
You could be wrong.
I
don't think it would make any difference.
The panel will help you. That's okay.
I don't think we need to do that.
Aaron, you forget Toady has this little thing called integrity.
Okay, panel. What do you guys think his weight would weigh? Starting off in England or starting off in Egypt at 100 kilograms.
I think the weight change would be small. I think the weight change would be small. Aaron, I think the weight change would be small, but it would still be heavier than your dignity.
Excuse me. I almost forgot I was in here because I was too busy. But listening to this, I mean, Aaron, listen to me. You're sitting in a room, in a chat room, with a bunch of smart people, and all I see is a monkey trying to find the gaps in the cage.
Are you sure he's not fucking the doorknob?
Well,
Isn't that what a classroom is?
Smart people.
Where you sit in a classroom with a very smart teacher and you ask them questions, right?
No, but you're not asking questions and taking on board what they're saying. You're trying to find chinks in their armor. Yeah. You're trying to find gaps. You're trying to find holes.
What you're trying to do is find anomalies in the story.
The difference between asking a teacher a question and getting the answer is that you've asked over and over the same exact question. You were given the answer.
Which one?
You were given the answer, and then somehow forgot it. I mean, if you're really looking for the answer, why didn't you write it down?
Tell me which question I should write down, Sean, because I have not asked the same question over and over. I think Aaron forgot to bring his pens and paper that you guys live on with Toadie's weight, but you guys only want to stay in 2 points.
Aaron, just so you know, you've asked like 4 or 5 times. What is it? You've gotten it wrong 4 or 5 times. The weight from the UK to Egypt. You are aware that since the first time it was asked, it's been in the side chat, right? Or are you that unobservant? Top of
I got it wrong once because Toadie misspoke, and he admitted that. It's no big deal. I forgave him. No big deal.
You got it wrong.
Aaron, no, you got confused. I misspoke when I gave Rumpus the numbers, not earlier. I've never misspoken today. Right. I've been very careful.
No big deal.
I think Aaron has to spend out the rest of his lesson in the corner in his underwear.
I'm on the verge of becoming a Glober.
At the naughty table.
Aaron, you're already a Glober. You're just a troll.
Listen, after Jose's show this morning with Crow XE about the moon phases, I'm on the verge. But Aaron, you fuckers can't even sit back and say, look, answer the questions very calmly without jumping in.
Full of shit, your eyes are brown.
Names. I mean, come on.
Aaron, okay, if you're in a room full of people teaching you something, what you do is you sit back and you listen.
No.
Hang on, Aaron.
That's indoctrination.
He's completely incapable of listening. He doesn't care what you have to say.
Go for it, demonic. Go.
When you were in school, you would listen to the teacher. You would watch the teacher explain things to you. You would then look at the questions in your book and then do the answers to the questions in the book, or you would wait for the teacher to write a question for you to answer on the board.
What if you were in that same classroom, the teacher put all this stuff on the board, but you didn't have a book in front of you, and they're like, yep, this is how it goes around, this is how everything works, but you didn't have a book in front of you, and you're looking at that.
Why would you?
Well, then you get detention. You get detention for not bringing your books in.
The teacher looks back and says, hey kids, any questions? Right?
When have you ever been in a classroom that didn't have resources outside of the teacher?
The resources are the narrative, you guys. Come on.
The resources are the narrative.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I learned
it means facts are facts.
But Aaron,
facts aren't facts.
But Aaron, when the teacher says any questions, and you ask the same question, and then you're given the answer to it, and then you go into another question which kind of takes away from the other question that you asked, wouldn't you think the teacher at some point would be like, I think we're done with questions because you're not really getting to any point?
Well, do you know what happened? You know what used to happen at my school? If you'd ask the same question like 20 times, you get the chalkboard, you get the chalk rubber thrown at you.
Yeah, you get the chalk thrown at you.
Yeah, and the ruler slap. Or I can respond to Sean saying that, look, we've been through school, all of us, all men here and women. So now we're grown. We're grown men and women, and we should be able to question each other.
If we're grown men and women, why are you acting like a child?
Yeah. Also,
it's very confusing.
Aaron,
So you're
this is
equating questioning with being a child.
There's
Right.
No,
questioning.
your behavior is childish.
Yeah.
Your questions, in the way that you are asking them over and over again, and not accepting a fucking thing, and then going forth and trolling, that's childish.
All I asked was
The
if
same fucking question
0.22
15 times.
0.22
I don't
if
care if you get
0.22
We know.
is a
We know.
fucking
We know.
reasonable
We're past
amount
that.
You don't
to
think
We're
that's
past that.
discern
got it.
spin and gravity, right?
We're past
It's
that, Aaron.
0.22.
Yeah.
Well,
We're
Aaron,
past
let
that.
me ask you, what was that 0.22 of?
That's my question to these guys, Sean, that I'm not allowed to ask.
Weren't you
I
just
want
told
to
what
know,
it was?
what are the other
Weren't you just told what it
variables
was?
that from their
Actually, no,
solar
Aaron.
rotations?
Aaron, what was that 0.22 of? What was the measurement? What was the scale?
Oh, he
Heat.
forgot to write it
What was the
down.
weight?
Scale, temperature of the scale, Sean.
No,
It could
what
be
was
anything.
the weight? What
It's
was the weight
0.22 of a gram.
of what? Of 1 gram. Okay. How much do you weigh in grams?
Fuck, I don't know. Jeez.
Okay, we'll do the math.
140.
There you go. There's your answer.
grams, wasn't it?
Hi guys. Right. So hang on. I'm back. Couple of interesting things. I've just posted the PDF document for you, Aaron, in the chat, our chat here, and maybe Sean, you might want to post it for other people as well. This document not only explains why the Earth is an oblate spheroid, but it also takes you through the quite complicated calculations, which, as we said, are a number of factors right involved. Interesting factoid in the document that I've just read, which I didn't know before, is how much faster do you think the Earth would need to spin to throw us off into space?
Several magnitudes higher.
Do you want me to look at it right now?
Have a guess? No, just have a guess. You can look at it in your own leisure, but just have a guess. How fast do you reckon? How many times do you think?
Is that let's
Okay.
the panel? Let's see if anyone on the panel can figure that out.
Yeah, let's just have a guess. It'd be interesting.
Are we allowed to wear seatbelts?
How fast would the Earth spin?
Okay,
Oh,
so-
in RPM or miles per hour to the surface?
Okay, so I was listening, so I know you're gonna hate to do this, but say it one more time because I'm interested.
All right, I'll do it properly. You're standing on the equator.
7
How
pages?
fast?
Stop,
You're
Aaron.
standing on the equator. How fast would the Earth need to rotate to throw you into space?
Would it have to be?
It's only 7 pages. I'll get back to you in 7
So how many
minutes.
times a
Aaron,
day?
would you
Hang
like
on.
Aaron, would you like to truly learn something for a change instead of just ask questions? Because I will work this problem with you. I already know the answer. But I will show you how to work this problem, but you're going to do the work for it.
Hell
Do you
yeah,
want
I
to
will.
learn something, or do you just want to keep asking stupid questions?
And if you're gonna ask stupid questions,
as a
Aaron,
teacher-
no, listen. If you're gonna ask stupid questions, then I'd rather you just mute, and I'll do that work because I actually give a fuck.
Okay.
You ready to go?
I know.
Yes, I am.
Go.
Okay. I want you to go to Google, and I want you to pull up the formula for centrifugal force. It's going to have to do with mass, velocity, and radius.
You will. Okay. Actually,
If
But
you want,
not
I can ask
gravity.
some really stupid questions.
actually
No
have it
gravity.
in my files.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm getting it right now.
Mass times velocity squared all over r.
Mass times
Yeah.
velocity squared over r. I wanted him to look it up and see it in his hand.
Oh,
See,
sorry.
it's mass.
My bad.
All right.
No. I'm
Now,
pulling it up right now. Hang on. I'm pulling it up.
okay, so you got mass times velocity squared over r. Now, you're going to have to set mass times velocity squared over r equal to the gravitational force, right? Which is big G times mass, right?
No. What is it?
It's big G times mass 1, mass 2 over radius squared, right?
Where'd you get that?
That's gravitational constant.
Okay, so it's constant. Great.
Yeah, that's the gravitational. That's the universal gravitational equation. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go through and you're going to cancel out the masses, right?
Fuck the masses.
And you're going to
Oh,
have
you
to
can't.
relate
Now
them.
you're going to confuse it with cancelling out the masses. Oh no, you can't do that.
All right.
That's a conspiracy there.
No, do you want the easy way to do it? All right. You have 100 kilograms, weighs, well, hell, what's a better way of doing it? At the equator, you have mass times velocity squared over r.
No, we're in Egypt.
We're using the
Aaron.
equator. Just shut up, Aaron. You didn't want to participate. You go on mute now.
Yeah.
This is Sean and I. So
Bob, Bob, he's not writing any of this down.
Sean?
Oh, I am.
Sean
Over
isn't?
and down.
Sean damn well is.
Oh no, Sean is. I mean, Aaron.
Yeah. So you know that at the equator it's mass times velocity squared over r, and you know that has to equal gravity times mass in order for the object to be weightless, correct?
Yes. Okay. I'm on the same
Okay.
page now.
You see how the masses cancel out?
I understand why. Yeah.
All right. So now what you have to do is you have to solve for velocity. Can you do that?
All right.
Okay, so it's going to be mass times radius over radius squared, right? Now I'm kind of doing this I'm doing this in my head right now. I don't have the ability to write this down, but algebraically make sure that that's right. So you have mass times gravity on one side, and then on the other side you have mass times velocity squared over r. You're going to solve for velocity squared or velocity. Can you go ahead and do that?
I'm seeing if I have that equation because hyper physics.
Mm-hmm.
I have
no, it's just basic. This is basic algebra.
Okay, then I'll just need that shit.
There's nothing major.
I get what you're saying now. Okay, I get it now.
And while Sean is doing that, Bob, I've got to take my hat off to you for anybody who can do this in their head.
Well, yeah, you can do it kind of in your head.
Yeah,
right.
You can. No.
It's I had to do this on paper. I had to do
Yeah.
this on
Check
paper.
my
I have a
screen.
video.
Yeah, no, I have to do it. I have to see it written down, otherwise I'll just get.
Aaron, you've already ruined your time, Aaron. Go on mute.
You've lost
I'm
your
writing
time.
it down. I'm writing it down. Look at me. I'm writing it down.
Okay. So tell me what the velocity is going to have to be in order for mass times velocity squared over r to equal mass times g. And you're going to find that it's about 17,500 miles per hour.
What was the under part? Mass times velocity squared
Over r.
over
That's
r.
the formula for centrifugal force. Now you know that in order for something to be weightless, you have to take the weight has got to be equaled by the centrifugal force. So mass times velocity squared over r has to equal mass times 9.8 meters per second squared.
So mass equals 9.8, right? Second squared.
Mass times 9.8 meters per second squared.
Oh, mass times. Sorry.
You know what weight is, right? It's mass times gravity, right?
Okay. What is the
That's
V?
definition of
What's the V?
V is the linear velocity of the surface of the Earth. How fast will the surface of the Earth have to go in order for centrifugal force in order
Twice as fast.
to mass? No, it's more than that. It's 17,500 miles per hour. To give you the answer,
Bob,
so that
what
you
is
can
this
check your... Stop, Aaron. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Sean. Only Sean.
Oh, okay.
So
I
I'd like to
where I
ask
messed
a
up. I
question.
got it.
So
Can I
what
ask
you
a
can
question?
do is if you want to check your answer, in order for objects to be weightless at the equator, the Earth has to revolve once every 84 minutes.
So, Bob, have you calculated it previously? Is this
Yes.
something that you calculated yet? So the
Yes.
answer is about 17 something. They actually don't give it on the graph. I can see it's 17 something.
Well, if you calculate, if the Earth rotates every 84 minutes and it's 24,901 miles, and it's an 84-minute, it rotates just under once an hour.
It's still
Isn't that
concept of that's the concept of interstellar travel, isn't it?
Per hour.
So hang on. So hang on. So Bob, you gave a figure that was 17,000 something or other, which looks like that is the answer, because the answer to the question is the Earth would need to rotate at about
Every 84 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So 17 times a day.
That's
Yes,
roughly
17 times the speed.
That's roughly the speed of the International Space Station.
And why is that? because
It has
it's
to
in
fall
orbit.
over it.
The radius is just
the whole
400
time.
kilometers longer. It's
The
92
radius.
minutes. The surface of the Earth is 84. The ISS is 92 minutes. The moon is every 27.3 days.
Radius
And
equals 84.
somewhere between the point of the ISS and the moon, there's going to be one orbit that is every 24 hours,
Oh
and that is
shit!
how
Now
far it is.
Aaron, shut
we
up.
have a new point.
Aaron, shut
new
up.
point.
Bob, what did you
Otherwise known as
say?
the geostationary.
What did you say?
Geostationary
ISS was
orbit.
that in minutes?
400. It's at 92 minutes. And okay, so the ISS is 400 kilometers on average above the surface of the Earth.
Yes.
So you take the radius of the Earth and add 400 kilometers, and that equals 92 minutes. Now, here's the cool thing. The moon is every 27.3 days. Tell me how far away the moon is. And you can calculate it on that information alone, that it rotates
that's
once,
really
or
cool.
orbits every 27.3 days.
250,000 miles. Wow.
All right.
And
What
this
you
is why
can
you
do
need.
is you can take the radius of the Earth in 84 minutes, then figure out how many minutes are in 27.3 days, set up a proportion, and that'll tell you how many miles is the radius to the moon, from the center of the Earth to the moon.
And this is
Bob,
why
I want to
we
know
need-
V.
Hang on.
What is
Can I
V
just,
right
can I
here?
just say something before you
What
answer?
is that?
Hang on, Aaron. This is why we need models, right? When we're asked and we're told that models are rubbish and why do we need models, and we don't live in a model. This is a really brilliant example of exactly why we need models.
And I can
Also,
tell you exactly how far it's going to work out to be. But you go ahead and do the math, Sean, because you'll see it's just a proportion. The radius of the Earth is however many thousand non-freedom units, also known as kilometers. I know it's 4,000 miles, but for you guys, you want to use kilometers. So I think
Proportion.
it's 6,000. I think it's 6,000 something kilometers, and that's 84 minutes.
Christ,
Right?
Aaron, it looks like you vomited words, and it looks like you vomited letters and numbers onto the fucking page.
Yeah, Bob, the moon is 30 Earth diameters away from us.
Okay, and what's an Earth diameter?
I don't know, how fat do you want Earth to be?
It's however fat it actually is.
I got a
Yeah.
big
So
number.
if it's 30, okay, stop right there.
Ooh,
Stop
okay.
right there. The Earth is 8,000 miles in diameter. 30 times that is what?
The Earth is
240,000 miles.
The Earth is 6,378 kilometers.
6,378.
Yeah,
All right.
at the center. Yeah.
Plug that into the number or multiply it by 30, as was recommended, and you'll find the orbit of the moon.
Wait, did you say the Earth is? Did you say the Earth is 6,000 kilometers? That's not right. It's a little
That's
under
the radius.
The radius.
Yeah,
You
you got to
diameter.
double that, and then multiply it by 30. But we're using the radius to calculate the centrifugal force. So you got to figure out if you have a proportion where you have 84 minutes is 6,000. 80. The velocity of the Earth would be such that you had to do a complete rotation every 84 minutes for 6,300 something. What would the radius have to be in order to have an equal or have a velocity or orbital time of 27.3 days? You'll have to calculate it out in minutes. And you will find that it comes out to 240,000 miles, which is pretty damn close. I actually have a video on this. It's fucking awesome. It's really cool math, and it's very simple math.
Bob's feeling himself.
I don't know about simple.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's really not all that hard.
So I agree. So in the document that I've linked, guys, if you look at it, it gives the 3 different calculations with an example. So if you want to go back and actually want to work this out, it is all there. And then it gives all 3 taken together. Because remember, there's 3 effects, right? For the thing that we were looking at, which was where I did the weights, which weighed different things in Egypt and different places. Yeah. Of course, what we're talking about with Bob here is just, based on the speed.
All right, Aaron. So here's the answer to your question, Aaron. How do you tell what the rotational speed at any latitude is? You asked that question, did you not?
I thought you just said, "Here's the answer." Bob, go ahead and give me an
No,
answer.
I'm gonna make you. No, I'm gonna make you come up with the answer. The formula.
Hey, real quick, I gotta see. Is Sean here? Hey, hold on 1 second. Is Sean G here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Yeah, he's right there.
Hey, bro,
Hey,
it's
what's
Phil
up?
Box. Hey,
Hey.
can you just
Hey, how you
give
doing, sir?
right quick, sir? I'm gonna get out of here real quick. I've just nothing to do with the topic. I'm gonna get the hell out. Zoom Truth in the chat. Can you please just wrench him up?
Oh shit.
He's a real good guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just wrench Zoom Truth up. And to my haters out there, I'm coming for you. I'll let you go, Sean. You have a good night, bro.
Hey, thank you.
Peace out, bro.
Appreciate it. Have a great
All
day.
All right,
I apologize,
Aaron,
Zoom
you're
Truth.
gonna. Not a problem. Aaron, you're gonna have to tell me what the rotational speed of the Earth is at any latitude I name. The formula is that it's cosine of the latitude times 1,038 miles per hour. So, what is the rotational speed at 90 north? 90 degrees north. Get out a calculator and tell me what the cosine of 90 degrees is and multiply it by 1,038. Tell me what the rotational speed at the North Pole is.
It's right there, Bob.
I'll wait. Cosine degree of latitude times 1,038 is the formula. Tell me what the rotational speed at 90 degrees north is.
Okay, hold on. There it is. Answer.
Okay, correct. What is the cosine of 90 degrees?
Well, look what you've done to me by a simple question. Look at this. Right? I wrote down everything you said.
Good.
And you got none of it right.
And put it into use. Now here's your next question.
Yeah.
What is the rotational speed of the Earth at 45 degrees north latitude?
None.
Your formula is 45. Your rotation is 45. The cosine of 45 degrees times 1,038 miles per hour. What is the rotational speed of the Earth at 45 degrees north?
I'm at 33 degrees, roughly.
I'm asking you 45.
Listen,
I'm asking
Bob,
you 45.
If you could listen, teacher. You know.
No, I'm not. You're going to solve the problem, and then we'll do 33. First,
I'm
solve the problem for
I'm at
45.
33 right now, and I don't feel any movement. So there is no rotational degree of the cosine of 90 at a distance.
I told you, Bob. He's just here to waste your time.
I'm almost a glober.
All right, Aaron,
I'm almost a glober.
Aaron, you have been taught the correct way to come up with this answer. I'm not taking any further questions from you on this matter. And I don't think
will
the panel
agree with
will
you.
either.
I appreciate your teaching. However,
see you later, Aaron. You're on mute.
I don't believe that for a fucking second, Aaron.
Yeah. Thank
You're
you,
on mute,
Bob,
Aaron.
You know how I rolled. There's that. I got to that one point where it's like, okay, too many numbers. So I did. You know how I do. I write everything down. I will go into it.
Sean, what's the rotational speed at 45 degrees north?
I think it's
cosine 45.
You should do it in kilometers, huh? What I
No,
got was
do it miles. Start with.
Do it in freedom miles.
773 miles an hour.
Try again.
Close.
Cosine 45. It's close. Cosine 45 degrees times 1,038 miles per hour. Cosine of 45 degrees is 0.701?
0.707.
0.707. Thank you very much for the correction. I was
You're
trying
welcome.
to do it in my head.
Yeah, I cheated. I used a calculator.
What is it? 728. What did you get? Was it 1030? Was it? It was cosine 45 times 130.
1038.
All right, so 729 is it or something? Let me just do it. What is it? Cosine.
734.8.
Bob is cheating. He's using his extensive education.
So cosine 45 times 1038. 733.
Yep.
734 with a point.
733 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, I was pretty damn close. I was close.
Yo.
I was really lucky the other night. I was really lucky the other night.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying. I was really lucky the other night, only to have to prove that 5 times 0 was a thing. God,
5 times 0 is a
problematic.
thing.
Yeah.
There is an answer to 5 times 0.
Demonic
a question
I
for you.
had to prove it. I had to prove it, and I proved
Aaron,
it
what
live.
is 5? Aaron, what is 5 divided by 10 to the negative 17?
5 what? Give me 5 physical things.
Anchovies.
Just the number 5.
Okay, 5 unicorns divided by 10 to the minus what?
10 to the negative 17th. Now tell me, is
Okay.
it a number larger than 5 or smaller than 5?
10 unicorns divided by 10 to the minus 17.
No, we're not going to talk unicorns. We're going to talk something real.
That's what I asked you. Give me something physical. Yeah, give me something
millimeters
physical.
of mercury of pressure. You got 5 millimeters of mercury of pressure divided by 10 to the negative 17 millimeters of mercury pressure. So is the answer going to be greater than 5 or less than 5?
There are no negative numbers, Bob.
Oh my.
Oh,
Goodness.
Christ.
I know this answer too.
Well, you see, the thing is,
Aaron's right.
you know,
Aaron's
unlike Anthony, who's truly stupid, Aaron, I think, is deliberately being stupid.
Yes, Bob, I'm gonna tell you right
So-
now because I've heard.
I'm not going
dude
to
say
bother
these-
with him.
He said these weirdest words, or he says these random things at certain times that it's very not Aaron. But you can tell that the way he words something isn't a way that someone would word it if having no understanding of it. And he slips up and does it all the time.
Yeah, I know. That's why I went to Tor from unicorns. I wanted to have something that was real.
Well, that's the worst part because that's what's making you a troll, Aaron. People are starting to pick up on it, and it's just, we can tell.
How many of these people are we going to go through? We've already gone through
Aaron,
Chirag.
Oh, wait. No. Aaron is a troll.
He's an admitted troll.
It's not as bad.
Intellect is a trolling ability.
Look,
like
why
the
don't you
other
go
day,
ahead and just boot him, Sean?
I'm about
You
to.
know.
Because the other day
he's wasting our time.
was really
and
bad.
This is a fun conversation.
Yeah, Aaron.
I don't have time for bullshit like that.
You've got your troll in. How about you mute yourself so I don't kick you off? Because I'd actually want to hear this shit. Like, this stuff is actually interesting to me. Like, I don't know it. I need to learn it. And it's like the gaps in between a lot of the shit I know. So please don't interrupt that.
And Bob, I don't know how you keep going because I am literally just about run to the end of my tether
I'm
on
done.
all of this.
No, seriously.
on all of it.
Yeah, I can tell it in Bob's voice. He's done.
I'm done. I've come to the conclusion there are only 2 types of people left in flat Earth: those that are willfully ignorant and those that sell T-shirts to the willfully ignorant. And I'm getting out of it. I'm going on to mud flood and vaccinations and
you want to talk to
marijuana and aerospace.
You want to talk to Zoom Truth? I think he was in the chat. He's a different level of flat earther.
Get Zoom Truth in.
Bob,
He's a different level.
Yeah, he's cool.
Bob, hang on one sec, guys. Bob, it was absolutely ludicrous that Grim could not understand what the hell you were asking him today.
I know.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, first of all, I want to say this, and I said it in the chat.
I don't have a problem with Grim.
By far the worst motherfucking stream I've ever heard in my life, Jose. I hope we don't ever allow that shit to happen.
You notice I bailed as soon as Jose left.
Now,
Can I ask a question?
Hang on, because here's the thing.
I've got a question. I didn't hear it, so I don't know what the context is.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I didn't either.
We'll fill you in just a moment.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing is that Brenda was at fault for that whole situation.
Are you done yet?
Yes.
May I speak? Are you done? May I speak? Okay.
I've talked to Brenda for 3.5 years now. When I was a flat earther and now as a Glover, she is 100%. What's the word? She's overdone it. No. She's overdone it. She's
Sean,
burnt out.
did something.
She's burnt out. Over this.
Yeah, I was going to say fried. Yeah.
Sean, I did
done.
something to Brenda today I've never done, and I've got a great amount of respect for Brenda. She's a very good person. You know, I snapped at her today. I will apologize to her tomorrow, although I was absolutely fucking right.
No, do not apologize to her for that, because that was her trolling, and it needed someone that she actually respects to knock her back down, and that, Bob, that needed to happen. Do not apologize.
I know it needed to happen, but there's always a better way of doing it, and
Mhm.
I've got a lot of respect for Brenda, and
Yeah.
I don't want her thinking that I was overly harsh on her today, but she pissed me the fuck off.
Just know you
to the
came
point I came
No,
back
you know
in.
what? You know what?
it was
That
perfect,
entire
but-
conversation today, that entire conversation today was bullshit, and I couldn't do it anymore because it wasn't. Nobody was even talking about what the actual conversation was. It just turned into personal attack after personal attack.
And Sean, you're
And
gonna
it-
become a fine moderator one day.
Yeah.
God, I hope not. I don't have to
could
sit
you
through
just
that
tell me?
crap anymore.
Could I just get a quick 2-minute summary just so I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
listen to it? I was
Grim-
traveling
Grim-
with the family on vacation.
Grim V, Nathan Thompson, and Brenda were on Jose's panel, and the topic was vaccines. Well, the three most ego
The three shortest fuses.
yeah, were the ones who got into it. And the second Nathan said something to Brenda, Brenda said something to Nathan. Grim got caught in the middle. Brenda attacked Grim. Grim attacked her. It just became a complete shit show. Like, it had nothing to do with any topic. It was the three of them who took over for about an hour of just headache. Exactly
They would
what I try
almost
to
get
avoid.
back on the topic, almost, and then Nathan would say, "Yeah, Brandon over there," and Brenda would respond back, 8 shower heads." Like, it was ridiculous.
That shit is from shit I could see fucking Nathan doing. Grim, don't ever lower yourself to that shit again, because you're not that type of person, dude. And you made yourself look like a fucking idiot doing that. And trust me, I'm gonna track his ass down. And I'll tell him, because that was like, seriously. The person to blame, it's Jose. Jose could have stopped that instantly, and he let that shit go. Don't. All I'm saying is, I'm saying it right now, Jose. Do not in your life start fucking running that stream for entertainment, because it'll start showing through.
I left as soon as Jose left.
Well-
and I'll tell you, I normally
well,
have respect
yeah.
for Grim.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say that Jose wasn't even in the. He wasn't even in the panel or anything. He just left it going.
Oh,
I have
okay.
He-
Then I apologize.
He walked away. Yeah, he
I
walked away and just left his phone on, and that was it.
Okay. Then
I have an
misspoke.
honest-
I do apologize.
I have
But
an honest
ultimately, it
statement.
is his fault because it's his stream.
I have an honest statement.
Like, it's my fault that Aaron's talking right now over people, because I could have ultimately kicked him off before.
Yeah, it is your fault, Sean. I blame you for everything Aaron says.
You're not supposed to be here. You said you wouldn't be here if he was here, and you came anyway.
Hey, Sean,
I
I'll
couldn't
make a deal
help
with
it.
you. I'll make a deal with you, Sean.
What's that?
You left him in. He says he has an honest question to ask. If it's an honest question that is worth something, that's fine. We'll deal with it. If it's a typical Aaron bullshit question, boot him.
100% agree.
Fair
and
enough.
Aaron,
Thank you very
yeah.
much, Bob. Thank
Aaron,
you
just
very
know,
much.
I will
That
boot
that
you
was
and
honest
ban you
of
from my
you right
channel
there.
without a problem.
Yeah.
So go
Aaron,
ahead.
you're pushing the ice, man.
I'm a
Go
damn good moderator too, my friend.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
I have one correction. It's not an honest question. It was an honest statement.
I would.
Right? I want to make an honest statement. When I heard you, Bob, today on Jose's, you made the statement, or you can correct me, that most diseases, viruses, let's say the H1N1 or influenza, come from Asian countries. And listen, I'm just going over the top. That's not exactly what you said. I'm paraphrasing.
Motherfucker.
But you did
Hang on,
say
Aaron.
they-
I'm sorry. I just cut you off.
Stop.
Hey, I can't.
No, Sean, that's
some just
no.
popped in
He's
my
correct.
brain. No,
Let
some
me
popped in my
finish.
brain. It has nothing to do with you guys. That's
Let me finish.
17,000 miles an hour is what it takes for the ISS to orbit. That's why.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Ding, ding, ding. Well done,
Just
Sean.
hit me.
You have just
You
fucking
motherfucker.
evolved as a human being, Sean.
Hey, Aaron, I
Sean.
apologize, but that shit hit me like
Thank
a
you.
ton of bricks just
No
now.
worries.
Sean,
Okay, now you
Sean,
get it.
I pointed that out immediately.
Yeah, but I wasn't listening. I was writing it down.
He wasn't listening. He was just writing numbers, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
I was in my head.
Yeah, he's
and
just
then-
clocked it. It's
I'm
really
like,
nice
yeah.
when you.
And wait,
you
Yeah,
guys
no,
are-
Sean, you're now ready for Calculus 1.
Hey, don't
Yes,
say
he
that.
is.
I'm not-
He has
That's the
worked.
speed of the ISS. Hold on.
First of all,
he
Aaron,
is-
again,
he's
I
worked through it himself.
apologize. I'm sorry I cut you off. That shit had to come out. I had to say it.
All right,
Hey,
Sean.
it was a realization. It was good, Sean. It was
Yeah.
good.
Now, Sean, Aaron is actually asking us pretty solid question right here.
That's why I
Let's
have
give
to
him a second.
apologize.
Yeah, he's asking a solid question. Go ahead, Aaron.
I wasn't asking. Remember, Bob, I was making a
You
statement
were making a
about.
statement, but you were making an observation that
I'm bored now.
is good. Let's go.
Sure, an observation that you said that most diseases come from, let's say,
Influenza.
Asia. You actually specifically said
Influenza.
China. Sure.
China.
And I would just like to point out as a statement that between China, India, Bangladesh, South Asia, they hold 3/5 of the world's population with no medical care. How is that?
Poverty and lack of
3/5 of the world's population
of
exists in this area.
Yeah,
with
lack of commitment.
no Medicare, no medical medicine.
You act like we're blaming them, Aaron.
Well,
How
and
does
they
that
all
happen, Bob?
and they're all
How does that
healthy,
happen?
and they're all healthy.
No. He's not saying that at all.
3/5
He's
of the
trying to
world's
make it.
population. That's all I have to
He's
say.
trying to make it
It's a
seem like
tragedy,
Bob
isn't
is
it?
blaming them for the fact that these diseases come
3/5
from
of
there.
the world's
That's not-
population exists there in the
No, I don't.
epicenter of disease. Right?
No,
According to Bob.
Okay, if I could clarify that. First of all, he's not attacking me on that at all. He's making an accurate statement. He's just not connecting the dots well. 3/5 of the world's population does live in that area. They have very poor medical care. As a result, diseases run rampant in those areas and then they spread out from there. That's why we study the flu in China this year to find out what's going to hit the United States or make an educated guess as to what will hit the United States in 3 years. All right,
Okay,
that's the way it works.
I've heard it said it's due to a lack of democracy.
No. Don't deter, Cody. Not yet.
It's
not
due
yet,
to
not
a
yet.
lack of lack of proper funding.
Sure.
And
That wasn't Toby.
like
and a
to ask-
priority that's
That
not
wasn't
set.
me. That wasn't me, Aaron.
No, that's Channel X. Aaron can't tell any Brits apart.
Bob, because I was speaking to one man. I was speaking to Bob.
I'll put a fake accent on then.
Do diseases cause death? Or if the whole population is infected, could they regenerate? And become 2/3/5 of the world's population? Like, how does this work?
That is the worst question I have ever heard.
What do you want to do? Give everybody polio?
I think Bob.
I think I have.
Sean, I'm
polio
hovering.
now.
I'm hovering on the disconnect button, but let's give him another chance. Sean.
Your panel life.
Sean, let's give Aaron one more chance.
Your panel life rides on what Bob wants right now. I agree with everything he said. If he says go, you go.
All right.
And Bob, I know you prescribe medical marijuana. Just take a little bit right now. Just have a bit right now.
I was gonna say.
All right.
I guess Brenda didn't know that's what you had done because it was. Like, boom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really dropped the fucking hammer on it.
Awesome.
I was at this thing. They asked me to come speak at this thing today, and they had bags the size of fucking pillows of marijuana at a flea market today in the open.
Oh, you met Grim today?
No, Grim. That's not what Grim does. That is not what Grim does, from my understanding. This is a farmer's market, and they had pound bags sitting
Farmer's market. That's funny.
Yeah, Grim.
And I'm thinking, oh my fucking God, I think I'm going to be positive for carboxy THC just walking around that place today.
Hell yeah. That's nature, man.
As far as I know it, Grim is a licensed grower that can only sell to licensed medical, what do you call it?
What he was describing is what we call in Michigan a caregiver. He has X number of patients that he grows for, and he can provide them their medicine in exchange for compensation.
With a natural plant.
1,000% legal as well. I mean,
yes.
Especially in California now too. And that's
no. It's 999% legal because it's still illegal federally.
Yeah. So when I spoke to him,
they're making a point.
He said the only difficulty he had is when he delivers it, he can't carry more than a certain amount around. Yeah, he said he
just one pillowcase.
But hang on, Bob. I thought that I figured that the federal government would all of a sudden jump on it because of they don't want their ends. Because that's why the states did it. A bunch of states did it because the revenue from it.
Well, in Michigan, they were forced to do it. They did not do it willingly. We
You're
have
medical,
a special
though.
thing, and we're recreational.
Oh, okay.
We have a special clause in our Constitution here in the state of Michigan that says there's such a thing as a voter initiative. If you get a certain number of signatures, you can force a ballot issue to be put forward that has the power of law.
Okay.
You bypass the legislature, and the governor does not have a chance to veto it. If you pass it, it's law.
Why don't we do that for everything?
Well, they did that. They did that to limit the power of the UAW, the United Auto Workers. I mean,
union.
If you get into this, it's really very, very complex. The interaction between politics and law and medicine. And then they turned around. We passed that by 63% in 2008. And then last year in December, we passed recreational marijuana the same way. And they were kicking and screaming over it too. And they can't do anything about it without getting a 2/3 majority. And the problem is between the Democrats and the Republicans, you can't get a 2/3 majority to determine what time to break for lunch for the most part.
Did you vote for it or against it, Bob?
I voted for it in both of them.
Hey, Bob, I have a question.
I am not going to trade my livelihood for the destruction of lives. All right.
Is this
marijuana laws destroy lives?
If you're
I can be a doctor.
If what you do and how the laws are going around it for different states, is that a topic of conversation that needs to be talked about, or is it kind of just everything's kind of like with Braille right now?
I'm doing a whole series on YouTube right now on it.
Okay.
But the problem is, I've done 2 videos. I'll cover all effects of it. But I've only put 2 videos out so far. The first one was how to fill the form out for the state so people knew how to do it correctly. And I got a yellow $sign on that.
So you can take pills versus smoke marijuana.
Then
What's the yellow $sign mean? Oh, sorry, what's the yellow $sign?
That means they defunded me. They demonetized my video because it involved marijuana. And all it was a physician discussing in an educational setting how to fill out a fucking form.
Yeah, you weren't promoting it, were you? You were just telling people how to fill a form in. Yeah.
But that goes under the guidelines of it being illegal in other places, though, right?
It has to do with you cannot promote the use of illegal substances. You can, however, discuss them in an educational concept. I am a physician discussing medical marijuana. And in that episode, I was talking about filling out a goddamn state form.
Okay.
Hey, Bob.
Now, in episode number 2, I said, here is the typical medical marijuana patient, and I actually shared statistics from my practice and gave people access to the breakdown by age, by condition, by each condition by age. So that you can go look it up yourself.
It's hard to get.
I have a question. Has Bob ever used marijuana? Ever?
It's irrelevant.
No, I have not.
It's irrelevant to it.
And no, I have not.
Talking about.
Okay, well then how can you write a paper on it if you've never actually experienced
Jesus fucking Christ. Patience.
All right, I'm going to answer that question once.
It's an honest question, Bob.
No,
Come
all
on.
right, I'm going to answer that question once, and then I'm not going to deal with another question from you unless I choose to. I have delivered 12 babies. Figure that shit out, bucko.
Okay, all I asked you was if you used marijuana. That's it.
And the answer is
I
no.
didn't ask how many babies you had. Yeah.
No, and then you followed it up by saying, if I hadn't used it, how can I write a paper on it? Well, I've never had a baby, but I haven't
completely
delivered
different.
one or two.
Wait, Dr. Bob. Allegedly, you've never had a baby.
Not that I'm telling you.
Exactly.
And the reason
I haven't investigated.
Not,
I'm not going.
Not allegedly. Yeah. Bob has never had a baby.
my background is not conducive to marijuana. My background is public safety, and I was an officer in the military.
Are you?
I also think it's a medical impossibility for Bob to actually give birth to a baby.
Well, I would also add
No,
that
it can
Bob,
be done. There is a guy in the Philippines that they did implant one.
That's right. There was a guy who did it, and Bob moved out to get his new studio from his daughter's bedroom. I seem to remember. So, you know.
Yes.
Bob, are you pro recreational marijuana use or not?
Yes.
Pro? Or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I would rather my
Bob,
kids. I would rather my kids used marijuana than drink alcohol.
Hell yeah. What is
I agree with that.
What is the
I would rather
argument
once they're
that
past the age of 25.
what's the argument against recreational?
Well, one, it's an intoxicating substance. Two,
It's a gateway.
It allows
No,
you
it's
no,
It's
it
not?
allows you to enjoy yourself, and that violates our Puritan values of never having fun.
Yeah, well, channel. What it is
Yeah.
no one's ever smoked, and then it made them want to go do. If something is presented and they decide to do it, and they happen to have smoked, it doesn't make it a gateway drug.
Yeah.
Well, it's a standard joke in my practice. It's a standard joke in my practice. You know, I took one hit off of a bong and I had to go out and get some meth.
Well, hang on. It's a standard
And it's
thing.
funny when you get an 85-year-old lady that says, "Yeah, I tried this. It really helped my arthritis, but now I got to do all this meth."
It's a
It's
a standard thing that said that every heroin user started with ketchup.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, they all
Think about
started
it.
with milk too, as
milk,
one of our fine congressmen mentioned. But here's the problem that you run into. Do you have any idea how much it costs, or how much marijuana generates for the criminal justice system? Let's look at.
Oh, it's insane.
Let's look.
It's
Let's look
insane.
at the 90. Okay, now I'm not necessarily doxing myself here a little bit, but let's look at the 97th House District in Michigan, which contains 4 counties: the eastern half of Osceola, Clare, Gladwin, and Aranac. Now, if you take the state police numbers for those 4 counties for all drug arrests, and you only deal with simple possession of marijuana, having a joint behind the barn, let's look at the cost of that. Now, you have to hire a defense attorney. We have 7411, I think they call it, or 7412, which basically means keep your nose clean. It's a court ruling where you're guilty, but they withhold adjudication. Keep your nose clean for a year and it goes away.
Summary probation is what they call it in California.
Yeah, you know, the basic thing. But there's going to be a court fee. There's going to be mandatory drug counseling. You're going to have to report to a probation officer for it with a fee. All right.
Joint behind the barn.
Now, and if you look at the cost in my district, that generates over $1 million in charges just for simple possession of marijuana, which is 85% of the drug arrests. That is 1,600 miles. That is 1,600 miles of resurfaced gravel road in my county.
Yeah.
All right.
For
Now,
harmless use of a natural plant.
Add the additional cost of it. All right. You're barred from entry to the military. You're thrown out of college. A drug conviction does not allow you to take a number of jobs, factory jobs. You have a criminal record. They may not necessarily take you. In some cases, you can't get a student loan.
A background
You know, look
check
at the
is
social cost.
insane for a federal job.
Yeah, but look at, you know, I'm going to kind of reveal another little thing. I just
did you see the chat?
I just completed a course.
Say again?
So
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
showed
asking
you my
public-
house on Google.
Yeah, you know that. Okay, I just didn't want to say it publicly. Obviously, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you something. If you really want to figure out, I mean, anybody that's ever seen my house, you know, if you really want to track my house down very well, you've got pictures of my 4 dogs. You've got pictures of one of my 4 different gun safes in the house. All right.
I see. Yeah,
I'm not somebody to be fucked with, and I have teenage boys and a wife that can shoot. So,
I tried to shoot at you, but Coriolis.
I
Yeah,
have,
Coriolis,
I
you're
have
gonna miss
my
me.
girlfriend, Glock.
But
Yeah, she's always she doesn't even sleep. It's crazy.
Bob, did you grade out as marksman or expert?
experts. I was a Hawkeye. I rode home in a helicopter.
Nice.
So Bob,
Yeah,
the
but
one
but
quick
the other thing.
question.
Hang on, Aaron. I'm not done yet. All right.
Okay, good.
I was finishing. I just finished a course at the Air Force University. And my final term paper on this 2-year program is time for Air Force Blue to go green. And I made an argument that keeping the prohibition against marijuana in the armed forces is a greater threat to national security than not doing it, than removing it. And I'll tell you something, my instructor kind of liked that. And as a result, I'm going to command and staff now.
If I was high on opiates, I could get a job.
Yes.
But if I was high on weed, no.
No. If you were high on weed 3 weeks ago, they would decline to hire you.
You can
exactly.
eat a poppy seed, a bunch of poppy seeds, and get fired for a dirty drug test too, Aaron.
I actually saw somebody do that. I saw an addiction doctor actually do that as a test. He had a poppy seed bagel, had a negative urine drug screen before and a positive after.
Yep.
I'm talking about the
actually,
the opiate panel is a little too sensitive.
Yeah, when me and my pops were on base, and we would hire people, they had to go do the background check, and in that background check, you have to go to a laboratory to get your drug tests. And in those, when we go to the laboratory, that laboratory is the only time I've ever heard this. They literally said, "Make sure you don't eat any poppy seeds for the week prior to this." And we were like, "What?" And you're like, "We've actually had a lot of people get test dirty, inadvertently
because they ate a poppy seed muffin, right?" Yeah.
I think it takes what it is I think it takes probably a regular 2 or 3 days of eating it for it to be a pop, like a boom, like it hits hard. One, I think starts giving traces. I think it is about. I think you probably a little bit better. Than
Sean, it is measurable after one poppy seed bagel. You can get a measurable positive test.
But between
and
the
I've seen
amount
it done.
you eat, there's a rate, right? So there's a higher level after like 3 days of eating it every morning.
Well, no. What'll happen is you have a screening test.
Yeah.
And then you have a confirmatory test. It will come positive on the screening test and negative on the confirmatory test from one fucking bagel.
Oh, well, I mean, but I'm saying, what if it was someone that was like just, a random person taking a test? There's going to be a range, isn't there? A range like, it may be I know this ain't the number, 0.33, but it's 0.34. So, you know what I mean? Like,
there's a lower limit of detection.
Okay. Yeah, so it's
there's a lower limit of detection.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Bob, I have a question. Does the CBD oil, when they passed the law, did that help with the CBD oil? With making it easier for patients to get it and stuff?
Originally, CBD oil was basically considered a nutritional supplement, and then they made a specific law modification to the law that said if you use CBD oil, you had to have a medical card.
And aren't most of those CBD oils so weak that they're almost ineffectual?
Well, no, they're not. That's not the issue. The problem is you've got to have. You understand that if you take something like an aspirin tablet for a headache, it works to some extent. But if you have a cup of coffee with that aspirin tablet and get some caffeine in you, it potentiates the aspirin effect. So THC will drive the CBD into the cells. So if you're going to use CBD, you need to have a little bit of THC with it in order for it to truly be effective.
Can I have a little bit of a doctor time with you, because my wife suffers from chronic pain syndrome, chronic CRPS,
chronic regional pain syndrome.
Yeah, and it's absolutely serious. She's on
it's horrendous.
She goes through like 2 bottles of Oromorph a week, just to try and keep it in.
I don't know
how much.
It's
how much?
2 bottles.
All right.
I can't give you the actual, mils per whatever. I
Well,
can't
let's
think
see.
what it is.
One bottle
But
is a lot.
quite,
2 bottles is generally a fuck ton.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot.
okay.
It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. And yeah, she's in a real fucking mess. She's actually in hospital right now. But we're in the UK.
Yeah.
So there is
Well,
no
if you only
there is
had
no
marijuana,
there's
if you
no
only
marijuana
had-
treatment.
if you only had marijuana in the UK.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you had experience with that in your practice with chronic regional pain syndrome?
Yes, quite a bit.
And the marijuana works.
Yes.
So in the UK, the people
Now-
that I know generally go and get it from Amsterdam.
All right.
UK, because there are people who absolutely do use it in the
Yeah,
UK.
but,
CBD, I'm talking about.
Now you're giving bad advice.
Because this is one of the problems.
Can I just-
is a lot of people say that using that amount of oromorph is dangerous, and it is fucking dangerous. It's really bad for you.
What's
but there's
dangerous?
no
Why is it dangerous? Listen to Bob.
there's no
Yes, sir.
no. I'm talking about oromorph. Talking about
Sean-
morphine.
Yeah.
Sean, can I have just a moment with him?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everyone, please.
All right.
Yeah, please.
All right. Here's what I'm going to tell you something. Now, I'm not treating your wife, and I don't want to set up a doctor-patient relationship. But let me tell you something.
You can't. You're in a different country anyway, Bob.
You would be fucking amazed at what I've done. But in any
the
event,
rules are a little bit bizarre.
yeah, but rules are rules, especially if it's not in private. I'm going to tell you something about chronic pain that you may not understand and the use of narcotics. Most people would think that the more narcotic you use, the more pain control you get. That is not the case. What happens is if you have X amount of pain, you're going to start taking narcotics until you start getting some movement downward on that pain. And then as you increase it, you're going to reach a bottom point, and then the pain will start going up again as you increase the dose of narcotics. It's called narcotic-induced hyperalgesia.
Well, as far as I know, that she calls the oromorph it's a breakthrough pain.
All right.
Yeah,
Now,
it's a breakthrough drug.
Yeah, well, it's morphine, right?
Yeah,
it's morphine sulfate. All right. You have different names for it over there, but
it's the same.
It's
shit.
morphine fucking sulfate. All right.
Yeah.
So
yourself with a pair of
it is
binoculars
a short-acting
is
narcotic.
if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake,
Number one is
the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear, and you'll basically just see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved. And that means that as it goes farther and farther...
like medicine.
She's allergic to them.
Allergic?
That's one of the problems.
All right. The reason that I normally recommend that is that they potentiate each other. You get a 1 + 1 = 3 effect with it. So you can get by with a lower dose, but a greater effect.
Yes.
Now, I use cannabis as a potentiator for opiates. And I found that I could generally reduce opiate use by 3/4 in combination with cannabis.
So you
now,
just
the
take
next
a
thing,
tiny bit, and the cannabis helps it.
yes. Now the next thing that you run into is you need to look at a long-acting narcotic versus a short-acting narcotic. Now, if you have 24-hour pain, does it make sense to use 3-hour medicines to treat it or 9-hour medicines to treat it? All right, it makes more sense to you, and you get smoother pain control with overlapping doses of long-acting narcotics.
Yeah, she has those sort of things like gabapentin and things like that.
Gabapentin is not a narcotic; it is a seizure medicine. It is a potentiator for narcotics like Motrin is. It's a good choice.
Well, I'm probably not the right person to tell you all these details, Bob, because I don't fucking know. She just does it.
You're doing a great job, and the thing about it is that that's a good strategy your doctor's using. Now, the strategy that I like to use in chronic pain is that I tend to use longer-acting narcotics as scheduled medicines, and then shorter-acting ones just for breakthrough as needed. So, for example, I may give you a 3-hour medicine and say take it every 6 hours as needed, and give you 45 to last for the entire month. So you see, I'm not giving you 120 because that means I want you taking it every 6 hours. I'm only giving you 45. You can take it up to every 6 hours, but you only got 45 for the month. Use them wisely.
Yeah.
Do not use short-acting narcotics in anticipation of pain. Use them in response to pain.
In response, yeah, she does. She does that.
All right.
And the saddest thing, Bob, is she's probably the wisest one amongst all the doctors we see. She knows more about it than they do.
And your doctor, you need to sit down with your doctor and you need to have this 15-minute conversation. How is this working for you? How much are you finding that you're using? All right. How often do you find, is there a particular situation that tends to trigger this? Is there a time of day that we need to maybe adjust your scheduled medicine so that you use less of the as needed medicine? Is there something that we can add to it, like the gabapentin? These are things here that you have to sit down and micromanage. It's like dealing with diabetes. I don't give you a fucking pill for your diabetes and say go out and eat whatever you want. All right. Here's your diet. Can you have a slice of your granddaughter's birthday cake? Yes, indeed you can. Don't do it 4 times a day. I don't want to be standing behind you in the grocery store and find you buying a case of Twinkies. All right. Now, if you want to have a beer when you get done mowing your lawn on a Saturday, okay, I can deal with that. Here's how we can adjust for it. Don't drink a 6-pack every single night. And if you do drink a 6-pack every single night, be freaking consistent about it. All right. You've got to be able to sit down and work with the patient and very carefully manage this pain, because it is a critical lifelong thing, especially chronic regional pain syndrome. All right. It's a devastating condition, and it's a matter of trying to do a risk balance or risk benefit analysis every single office visit. They're very time consuming, but they're worth the time. You just got to get a doctor that can do it.
Do you know, Bob? I've sat in on so many doctor meetings, and honest to God, you really do come across as like the wisest person I've heard on the subject.
And that's why the state took my license to prescribe pain medicine, because I did medical marijuana and they targeted me. I'm in the process of trying to get it back right now. This is what I do for my living, and I do addiction. I get people off of narcotics. I have a couple of videos on the website. One is chronic pain and one is dealing with addiction. You might want to look at them.
Oh, I'll look at both, especially the addiction.
Yeah. And I had a very, very good success rate with addiction. I had over 80% with narcotics. And it was a very intense program. Every month, counseling, careful management, review of their, what we call the MAPS report, which is their Michigan Automated Prescription System. I could check every single prescription they filled at any pharmacy in Michigan from any doctor for a controlled substance. Ran that on them every single month. So, I mean, the idea is right under your thumb, but living your life.
Yeah.
And
good for you. No, good for you, Bob. I take my hat off to you.
That's my passion in life, is taking care of the people that everybody else, all the forgotten patients.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
I take care of the
totally ignored.
patients.
Totally ignored.
Those in chronic pain, those suffering from addictions that made bad choices in their lives. Sometimes, the majority of people that became addicted to heroin became addicted in their doctor's offices. They had a bad knee injury when they were in high school playing soccer or football or whatever the hell we call the thing our kids play. And the doc said, well, how's it feeling? Well, I still feel it. Okay, well, here's some more Norco. And they give them short-acting narcotics in huge quantities, and the next thing you know, they're kind of dependent on it. They've been on an increasing dose, and the doc says, oh my God, the DEA is going to come after me. I've got to cut you off. And then they cut them off. So they borrow it from their friends. And then they end up having to buy it from their friends. And then they realize they're never going to do heroin because, you have to inject it. And then they find out that they can snort it, and it's cheaper than buying methadones on the street. So now they're just snorting it. And now they're running into a problem with needles because they're injecting, and now they've got HIV and Hep C. You know, I'll tell you, the person that is addicted to narcotics, and I don't mean to be on a soapbox here, but you caught me on my field. All right, the person that is the classic heroin addict is the guy sitting next to you in church, or the lady, or your boss, or the person sitting next to you in the doctor's office, or standing in line next to you in the pharmacist. They're not a minority from Detroit coming to Lily White Gaylord, Michigan. And that is why they tried to avoid getting them up there, because, you know, that means all these drug addicts from Detroit would be coming up. No, they're your freaking friends and neighbors and family and maybe even you. I was trained in a nurse once on how to do medical marijuana evaluations. And I had this dear, sweet little old 85-year-old lady, you know, the type that keeps the tissue in their sleeve?
Yeah.
All right. And I said, okay, well, this lady's, okay, I'm going to guess she's probably got a cancer, or she's got glaucoma or arthritis, and we're going to do a medical marijuana certification on her. So, you know, come on in, Becky, or whatever her name was at the time. Let me show you how we do these. So, you know, hi, I'm Dr. Bob, because that's what my patients know me as. How can I help you today? And I've got the forms for the medical marijuana in front of me. And she looks at me and says, Dr. Bob, I'd really like you to help me stop injecting heroin. I'm using 3 bags a day, and it's just too much.
I mean, it's almost comical.
And I'm thinking, you know, it's just one of those minutes, like, that was one of 2 times that I actually was caught without words for about 4 seconds. Yes, ma'am, we're going to get you taken care of. The other time was when I was a medical student, and I was doing check-ins at the emergency room in Glades General Hospital down in Florida. I was the guy that would do your vital signs and find out what you were there for. Guy comes in with abdominal pain. So, okay. Get his blood pressure, any medical history, anything else? You take any medicines? How long did when did the abdominal pain get, start? And this is about 2 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes into the interview. He goes, about the time I got shot. And I said, what? And he pulled up his shirt, and he had a 9mm hole sitting over his sigmoid colon. The guy had a bullet in him. And, you know, it never occurred to him to mention, I just fucking got shot. He came in with abdominal pain. I could stick my thumb and touch his spleen.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm thinking, yeah, that's something you might want to mention a little earlier. All right. You
Bob
stay
sounds like
right
to me
here.
Bob sounds like to me you did medical school in a level 1 trauma center.
I did. I was a paramedic for 10 years before I was a physician. Yeah. But no, I went to medical school in Miami. And I did a lot of my early training in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Tampa. And did my OB up in Pensacola, which is the Redneck Riviera. I had some interesting experiences, yes. And
What do you
I was
guys
a medic
think?
in the Army.
Hey, Bob, sorry to cut you off. Awesome.
I'm done. I'm talking too much.
Monologue.
No, you did great, Bob.
Anytime you want the floor for
round of applause.
All you.
Round of applause for Dr. Bob, please. Come on.
Yeah. Round of applause.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That was great.
While Bob is still on, and maybe
Guys,
Brian
thank you very
Tex is
much.
here. Yeah, and with Brian is still on. Have you guys ever dealt with paralysis? You know,
I thought he was going to bring you back to gravity.
No.
Oh,
Well,
not
that is
Aaron.
kind of gravity. Paralysis.
What?
What about it?
You know, somebody being paralyzed, right? Is there a cure for it? Is there a treatment for it? Bob has gave us a long about.
Well, the answer to that is simple. It depends on what caused it.
Yeah, I was about to say the etiology is very important there.
What do you mean etiology? Like how it happened?
What caused it?
Well, you know, Christopher Reeves.
Let's say
it's just not. Guillain-Barré, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever causes paralysis. I'm not paralyzed. You're not paralyzed. But there are folks that are paralyzed from certain parts of their body up and down, right?
Now,
Well, there's
Aaron,
different. There's so many different causes of
yeah,
paralysis, right?
yeah.
Sure.
Don't
if
don't
you-
go there,
All I
Aaron.
want to know, gee whiz, all I want to know is, have you guys ever dealt with that? Have you ever seen that or dealt with it? That's all.
Dude,
Absolutely.
I saw a lady with stage 4 breast cancer go to the waters and Lords and come back cancer free. All right.
No.
I have seen
Paralysis is
weird
very
shit.
common.
Paralysis, not.
It's very common.
breast
Anyone
cancer.
who has worked in a hospital for any time has seen it. Go on with your question, please.
Okay. All right. What if you have? Well, do you practice in the U.S., Brian?
I do.
Okay. So
Is this
in
going
the
back to
U.S.
your? Is this going back to your Chinese
Oh,
news
wait a
story where
minute,
they claim to have cured it?
Yeah, Brian's a doc too.
No, Brian knows already. Brian already knows.
Yeah, and I know that I can't find
that
any studies on it.
China
I have
is curing paralysis with stem cell research and also drugs that were outlawed in the U.S.
What's
Good for
Why?
them.
Bob,
I have a
Bob,
question.
Isn't that
wait
cool?
a second, Bob,
Is
I
that
got
cool
this,
or not?
Aaron.
Guys,
Aaron,
hang on.
I've been looking for this, Aaron, and all I can find is a Chinese state news station that reports they were doing studies on it. Nothing else. Nothing has come out. No papers. Nada. Zilch.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question about this topic.
Keep it secret. I would.
I have
I'd keep it
I have a
secret.
question about this topic.
Sorry, can I interrupt for like?
What is the?
Can I interrupt for 2 seconds? Can I interrupt for 2 seconds? I'd just like to thank Bob for our little doctor patient little chat before he gets pissed off and the whole conversation gets derailed and he goes
All right.
disappears.
All right.
But thanks for that, Bob.
Here's the good news. Here's the good news. You've got me, and then I've been doing this since I was 19, and I'm 57 now. All right. You've got another one that's coming up behind me. All right. You guys are in good hands. So,
Yay.
Brian, there's three things I'm going to teach you about medicine. And
Yes,
these
sir.
are the 3 things that will always be right and help you out. One is common things happen commonly. Okay. Number 2
Don't look for
is
unicorns.
well, to know that they exist, but if the thing is walking, is waddling and quacking, it's probably a duck, and you can, keep the unicorn, keep the goose in the back of your head. Number 2 is if you don't look. Number 2 is if you don't look for it, you don't find it.
True.
And number 3 is if you shut the fuck up, people will tell you what's wrong with them.
That's my favorite part.
Ask the right questions, and they will tell you what's wrong with them.
And that's a good point, Bob, because in my experience with my wife is the expert. The doctors aren't the expert. It's my wife is the expert. She knows more about her condition than the doctors do.
Yeah, when my brother.
So you talk
Sometimes,
to
yes.
but you talk to the patient and actually fucking listen to them. A lot of
And they
doctors
will
don't
give
do
you-
that.
They will give you the clues that you need to figure out the puzzle. All right? Because you can generally solve the puzzle. Not everything in the world is a mystery. Most things are a puzzle. You can solve them. And if you ask the right questions, you can do it.
My point
But you
was,
have
Bob,
limits.
that a lot of doctors don't actually listen.
But Bob, you have
That is
limits.
the difference. That's the difference between being a doctor and being a healthcare provider.
But Bob, you have
Doctors,
limits. Right?
what do you mean I have limits?
What if THC was a medicine for stuff, right? You have limits, in order to provide the answer. Right?
I just do my best. I do my best.
Okay, good.
Based on
That's all we
training
do.
and experience and an understanding of what's going on.
That's right.
But you just do your best.
Aaron, could you tell me someone who doesn't have limits?
Oh, no. We all have limits. That's what I'm saying.
But he's thinking someone real specifically.
Bob
Superman.
Bob kind of made this statement as if like he was always trying to do his best throughout everything, And I made the statement. No, Bob, you have limits. Yeah. The limits are
All right.
legislation, government, all that bullshit.
Now there
it
is
stops you from doing that. You know.
Aaron, relax,
there's a book
buddy.
out there. There's a book out there that a lot of us are very familiar with, and a lot of people consider it rather flippant, but some of it is pure survival. And you know the rules of the house, don't you, Aaron? Or Brian? Do you know the rules of the house? Okay. The patient is the one with the disease. No, the patient is the one with the disease. Okay. There is no body cavity that cannot be reached by a 14 gauge needle on a good strong arm. That one too? Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was going to take me a second to recover from.
You know who Samuel Schlemm is,
All right.
don't you? You've heard of the House of God, right? Okay. Those are the rules of the House of God. Live them. They actually do make a lot of sense, and they keep you alive. I had one of my classmates go crazy. I haven't lost it. I didn't lose any of them in my class, but I did have one that had a mental breakdown, and just couldn't do it. So,
I like narcotic addiction and opiate addiction and man-made, addictions for society. But I'd rather get on to the fact of like paralysis, mental stuff that your mind says, nope, my leg's not working. Right? How can we figure that?
You're taking two different phenomena.
I know, that's why I said I'd like to move on to that, because I think Brian's interested, and so is Bob.
I'm really not interested.
You're talking conversion disorders?
Essentially, he's talking psychosomatic paralysis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back in the old days when we walked to school uphill both ways in the snow in Miami with hurricanes, we called that a conversion disorder.
Don't worry. When we were walking through the swamps of Louisiana, we did much of the same thing.
Yeah. If Bob or Brian could work out how.
I didn't walk very far, but it was a nice, moderate morning in San Diego. And it was flat.
Unfortunately,
no hills.
Unfortunately, whenever you're in the swamp, everything's flat except for what's underwater.
So paralysis is not a, major...
And those things will eat you.
I have the question. Anyone planning an after show? We're just going to sit here afterwards, after it's closed.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to occupy your time tonight.
But Bob, that was very valuable information.
Bob?
I apologize, Bob.
You got me on my soapbox, and
yeah, Bob, you got us off gravity, which was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got demonic.
And Aaron,
you got
actually listening.
Me.
And Aaron was actually listening.
You did have a short moment of clarity. It was I was gonna tell everyone to hush because he's like in this not troll thing going. So I keep going.
Yeah, that's called a lucid interval.
Yep. You don't even know.
And that's classic for epidural hematoma.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Not subdural, epidural.
Epidural.
Yeah. Have fun.
And we should also point out to Aaron that this is what happens when science tries to find answers as opposed to flat earthers trying to undermine science.
Science, globe denying.
Good point.
Aaron, one of the things that makes people successful in a scientific endeavor is that they try and develop an understanding of something that allows them to predict other things. All right. You tell me that you're hurting in a certain part of your stomach. I can give you, your abdominal area. I can give you 12 different things that could be right off the top of my head because I know the anatomy and I know the path in the area. And then
number one was the bullet.
Tests, yeah, and one of which is a bullet.
Including a bullet.
Yeah. But, there's a couple of things that I can do real quick to rule it out. I've been, my stomach's killing me. Oh, it hurts to touch. You hungry? Yeah. You got some pizza? You don't have appendicitis, dude.
Do you have people come into your practice these days say, "Oh, my stomach really hurts," and your first question is, "Have you been shot?"
No. So Bob, my ex, so it was like probably like 3 years ago. For about a week, you hear me? A week, she had a very intense pain. So she just sat out of work for 3 days. Then one night, he got up and goes, "I think it's time." And I'm in my brain, I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, okay, get to the hospital. She was in surgery within 9 minutes of getting to the hospital. Her appendix.
Bad appendix?
Yes, it was. I don't. He didn't even say it was on the verge of rupturing. He just said, "Go." Like none of the nurses, no one once blinked an eye. He said 3 things, and poof, she was gone.
Yeah,
She probably had a direct pain that was
She
measured.
was the one that said that, Sean. It wasn't the nurses, doctors there. No discredit to Bob. No discredit.
No. The other thing that you'll learn in medicine very quickly is when somebody tells you they're going to die, they generally are.
I thought
Take
I was.
them seriously.
And they will tell you where the pain is, right?
Yeah, the doctor verified if I hadn't got to the hospital in the moments that I did, I probably wouldn't be having the conversation we were having. I lost that much blood.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No,
I told the nurses, numerous times.
I had a kid showed up in my urgent care once that had been out skateboarding and taken a fall. And he wanted to go home and just lay down, but his girlfriend absolutely insisted that he come in and get looked at. He ruptured it.
What?
You just lied about your age.
Sorry, I'm 43. I'll be 44 in a month and a half. Sorry.
Month and a half. That's December.
Yeah, December 1. That's my birthday, bro.
So you're not born in 76.
What?
So time does move forward.
And you're not born in 76. You're born in 75.
No. I'll be 44 in
January.
A month and a half.
You know how old you are, Aaron?
In a month and a half, that's December.
God damn.
That's the middle of December.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, whatever. So I'll be 43. Like I keep track of this fucking shit, right, Bob?
That's scary.
It normally helps.
Don't you?
No, I don't. I don't really pay attention to how old I am because it does not matter.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to destroy your argument with one sentence.
I've never been vaxxed. Destroy. You go.
Don't confuse lucky with right.
44 years. Sorry,
I've never been shot. I've never been shot. Am I lucky?
I have an older one, younger one. They've been vaxxed. Sick as shit.
I'll confuse you even more. I've been plastered, but then again, I haven't been plastered.
I'm just wondering why.
I'm plastered right now.
So I'm a carrier.
I'm gonna raid the liquor cabinet and work on that myself.
Hey Bob,
I feel the need for it.
On the way out to the liquor cabinet, I have one proposition, possibly.
Whoa.
Okay.
Is the body, your body, my body, the panel's body, is it able to defend itself against a lot of shit? A lot. Not all, but just a lot of shit, right?
I say a lot more than you think.
Okay. And when it intakes this shit, the body is pretty fucking strong to build up an immunity and a defense to this shit, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's called antibodies.
All right.
Viruses mold and what do they do? Migrate, or how do they form and change? All that shit, right?
Let me explain to you why I'm a healthy guy. I had 3 months at Miami Children's, catching every communicable disease that won't kill you.
You're low volume, Bob. You're low volume.
All right. I rotated for 3 months at Miami Children's Hospital, and while there, exposed to all those sick kids, I caught every communicable disease known to man that will not kill you. All right? I've never been that sick in my entire life. However, Now I don't get many colds and things like that. I just, because I'm exposed to it quite a bit. However, if I contract tetanus, I will die. If my daughter, who woke my wife up saying that a bat just bit her when she was 6, had not gone down that night and gotten the vaccinations and their immunoglobulins, she would be dead, because rabies is 100% fatal, and that bat was rabid. Okay? Now, there are certain diseases that if you catch them, you will die. There are certain diseases that are so prevalent that so many people get them, thousands will have complications from them, and many of those will die. Why don't you look up the World Health Organization and tell me how many deaths there were due to complications of measles?
When?
Okay?
When?
Do the decade of the 90s. Do the decade of the 90s. Yeah. Hundreds of
Measles
thousands.
are definitely the
deaths.
most dangerous of the three in the MMR.
Deaths,
Especially if you get something, the rare sick
Hundreds
related,
of
like
thousands.
subacute pansclerosing encephalitis.
Yep.
I was
Very
in
good.
I was
Very
in
good. That's a
China.
board question too.
Yes,
I
it
was
is.
in
That's a
China
step 3
during the
question.
H1N1.
Yes.
During the H1N1, I was in China. Everyone was wearing masks. I was not. I had been there for 2 years already in China.
Okay, what did I tell you a
I
minute
had
ago?
no fucking symptoms whatsoever of some H1N1, whatever.
What
the
did I
fuck it
tell
was.
you a minute ago, Aaron?
And I traveled from south of the country down to Hong Kong, all the way up to Beijing. I traveled through the whole fucking country on a train.
Aaron, how many affected people were you exposed to?
Millions, billions, bro.
Okay, and
Billions.
what was my one sentence of advice to counter your entire argument? Repeat it
That
back
I'm
to me,
stronger
please.
than they are. Yeah, my body was stronger than they are.
That wasn't my one sentence. What was my one sentence that I said to you? Anybody else want to help him?
I can't remember.
Something to do with being lucky?
Don't confuse lucky with being right.
So sitting on a train with 1 million affected people is being lucky?
Yes.
And not being affected, that's just lucky?
Yes.
Kind of like you're lucky
Especially
to live
whenever,
where you live.
especially whenever there were only 2,000 cases in China, not millions.
Oh, that's right. You're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah,
You're damn right.
the
Everyone here's
stats were
right except for you,
overblown.
damn it, Aaron. I'm just kidding.
The
So,
stats
Aaron,
were
how
overblown,
were you exposed to millions of people who were sick when only 2,000 people contracted the disease?
Brian, the propaganda was it was everywhere, right? The propaganda was it was everywhere. Right?
Whose propaganda?
The
I
actual
knew it
report
was.
is that it's 2,000. So,
Whose propaganda?
The propaganda in China was bad. It was totally bad. Yeah, everybody, you gotta, wear masks. You gotta protect yourself from H1N1. But it wasn't.
Stop
It wasn't no big
conflating.
deal.
Stop conflating, okay? Most of the reason people in China wear face masks is because of pollution, not because of the H1N1.
Have you been there, Damani?
Yes.
Do you know how to read reports from a country?
Listen, I
like
lived
how
there
Aaron
for
speaks
6
without
years.
looking
You
up
tell
the
me
single
why they wear the face masks.
Good. Tell me how to say good afternoon in Cantonese or Manchurian, your choice.
Mandarin?
Yeah.
God damn it. Hold on, bud.
You lived there for 6 years?
He can speak Chinese. His wife, he speaks his wife in Chinese.
Oh, sorry. 再见. 再见.
He's asking somebody. That's
No.
bullshit.
It's
I'm
再见.
He knows some languages. He's drunk.
His wife's straight up Chinese. I'd believe him on this one.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
But that's also what I was talking about before, Bob. He trust me. He doesn't ask these questions for no reason. He plays this dumbass, and I'm gonna get it out of him. I'm gonna beat it out of him. Watch, it's gonna be great.
So in other words, he's a Nathan Oakley wannabe?
Yep.
All right.
Aren't they all?
Some of them are better at it than others. most don't. The problem is Nathan Oakley, I think, is actually rather intelligent. All right, and I think that a lot of the others just don't have the smarts that Nathan has.
I think I have to agree with you on that one, Bob.
They also don't have a quantum
That's such a
eraser.
sad statement.
Quantum Eraser's an idiot. Quantum Eraser doesn't know what he's talking about.
I think
Isn't there a little bit of
Quantum
discrepancy
Erasers.
as to what his actual military service was as well? He suddenly went from being a corporal to having bars.
Yeah. Don't quote me on it, but I saw his Facebook page, and he was a specialist in one and a captain in another. And I don't think that there's a route to do that in the infantry. And I think he was mechanized.
Not that quick.
No.
Yeah, not that quick. I mean, you could be a ROTC, but that'll only take you up to lieutenant.
Yeah. Now, if you have a superpower, you can get commissioned in. If you have a superpower, you can come in as a captain up to I guess a full bird colonel, depending on how super you are.
Bob, what? Let's just pretend that QE is the position he says he is. His presentation, even as a flat earther, I want to fucking kill that guy. Right? He's not. Look, I dismiss everything he says now because his presentation sucks.
He's a seventh grader.
Yeah, he's calling everybody a seventh grader, including himself. He doesn't even know it.
He actually calls them Marines, which is the funniest thing to me. Crayon muncher is a very common derogatory term for a Marine.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know.
Well, the simple fact is presentation. Look, presentation might be really, really bad, but if the facts are there, the presentation doesn't matter.
You can be an asshole and be right.
Yeah,
That's right. That's why I have listened to QE, and because it sounds okay. Right, it sounds right, except for his presentation with the fucking whiteboard and his little fucking, different colored words and all this shit. I know. I'm looking at the same thing you are. Yeah, it's all.
But that's a general thing. That's a general thing about flat Earth. Is like it can sound right, but the presentation might be crap. It can sound right, but what's being said is complete bollocks.
Or it can sound wrong, and what's being said is completely right. Right.
But one of the things that you have to do when you evaluate science is you need to know enough about it to be able to tell the difference and know how to at least get the answers. For example, here's how Quantum Eraser gets his data. He will put a search term into Google, such as gravity is not a force. And he will get the citations that say gravity is not a force. Then he will go to that citation and do a search within the citation for gravity is not a force. And then he will look at that sentence. He may even look at the paragraph that the sentence is in, but he won't look at the paragraph after it or before, and he won't understand what the paper is even talking about. For example, what makes it wrong is when you sit down and cite a paper, a scholarly paper, that says gravity is not a force. And then in the next paragraph, it says, however, for objects that are not very small, very fast, or very massive, for most of our macroscopic world, Einsteinian gravity, which is not a force, can be reverted to Newtonian gravity with no error. As a matter of fact, yes. And in fact, yes, I am.
Well, it's also like that paper that the Kansas paper.
Would you like to see the quote?
Oh, shut up! Sorry.
No, would you like to see the quote? Because I'll tell you what video it's in right now.
Or link you. Just throw in the.
Yeah, it's right. I got it right here. I'm on my phone right now, but if you will go to my my channel under my videos, you're going to see my video on quantum eraser. And I go through 10 of his sources and show where each one of the sources contradict his presentation of the source. And I bring up the entire link, I bring up the entire paper, and I point exactly where he got his quote, and then I go down to the next paragraph, the second paragraph, or the third paragraph, or later on in the paper, and I specifically show where that is. And if you want to look at that specific one, what was the God, it was a couple months ago. It had to do with oh shit. The main quote on it comes back to something that talks about the idea that the lower layer of rocks are older than the upper layer of rocks. But when you look for the physics equivalent of that, you can go through, and that paper right there specifically states that Einsteinian gravity reduces to Newtonian gravity for most of our world and can be used without error.
So you're using that paper that you found to debunk?
No, I'm using his paper that he used.
That's his paper.
That's the point of it. I'm using his source, which contradicts him.
Well, I have a fucking question right there. Einstein did not fucking care about rocks on the Earth.
I understand that, but there was a term that was used in physics that's also used in geology, and when you do the search for it, it comes back first to the geology one, and then there's a secondary one that comes back to physics. I'm sorry, I cannot think of it right off the top of my head what that term was.
No worries. I'm not defending QE. Yeah, like
no, I
he's
don't have a problem with that. Go to my
asshole.
Seriously, go to my channel and you will see the video that was
done. I'm a subscriber, Bob. I'm a subscriber.
Okay, well, great. Go to my channel under videos and you look back, I think in June or so, there is a video where I specifically take apart quantum eraser. And you will find all of the actual links that he used because I went through his video and I pulled all of his links and found his sources. Because he flashes them on the screen, but he doesn't put a link in. I had to go find those.
I saw that, but you did provide the sources, but you didn't provide the rebuttal.
Yes, I did. I showed right in his source where it was a rebuttal of him.
Oh man. Okay, then it becomes lingual then because
No, and then I specifically showed that right here, right down the bottom of that page, it says specifically that Einsteinian gravity reduces to Newtonian gravity for most objects. And you can use Newtonian gravity, and it did it in several of his sources. Says that you can use Newtonian gravity without error in most circumstances. We don't use Einsteinian field equations to build bridges. We use Newtonian gravity. When the question came up earlier, how fast did the Earth have to rotate?
That's right. So
these are Newtonian concepts of
you just brought it back, Bob. I love you, Bob. You just brought it right back to a kilogram weight, 100 kilogram weight on the equator. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, well, it's all related. But you see, the thing is, those concepts, even though you can look at it under Einstein with field equations and stuff, it's very simple and accurate to solve those using Newtonian values and Newtonian concepts. You can't say gravity is not a force, and then, which is a Newtonian concept, and then trying to define it under an Einsteinian field equation.
Let me ask you a question, Bob.
What?
Legitimate, honest question.
Got your finger on the button, Sean?
Is gravity an acceleration? Meters per meter squared.
The acceleration of gravity sure is, yeah. And you can measure it.
So gravity is an acceleration.
Yes. No, hang on just a second, Aaron. Gravity is gravity. All right. We can describe it with different models.
What
Einstein,
does G
Newton.
equal? Right.
Big G or little G?
Okay. All right. I'll give Bob the benefit of the doubt here, and I'll tell him what I'm supposing right now.
Go ahead.
F equals ma,
Yeah.
acceleration. Now,
Yeah.
go back to what does G equal in Newtonian? G equals what?
An acceleration.
No. G equals what?
An acceleration.
Okay, show it in math. I guess you could do it in math.
9.81 meters per second squared.
G equals
That's G.
M1 over M2, right? Over R squared.
That's force of G.
Well, at least he's brought it back to gravity.
No.
Yeah.
That's G. Right?
That's the force attributed to G.
No, G is 9.81 meters per second squared.
Not big G.
So there is no
That's
F.
little G.
There is no F.
That's FG. FG is big G times M1 M2 over R squared. That's big.
Right.
That's FG.
Oh, okay. So Newton got it wrong.
No,
Newton got it right. He wrote the damn equation.
no. Turn it right back around and substitute MA for F in the other equation, and you end up with
So can I put
acceleration.
A under F and equal?
Shut up, Aaron. Shut the fuck up. A equals G times the mass of the Earth divided by the square of the distance between the center of the Earth and the object the Earth is accelerating.
Okay, I don't get those. F equals ma. I don't get the distance to the center of the Earth. I don't get all that.
You're setting F. You got two things that say F equals. You just set them equal to each other, Aaron. It's a simple.
What is F?
It's a very simple algebraic technique. You've got two equations. Both of them say F equals something. Therefore, those two things equal each other. You understand?
No, it's those
F
two
equals
times
MA.
each other.
F also
Those two
equals G
times
times
each other
M1
equal
M2 over
what we
R
call F.
squared.
Right?
If you stop talking over me, I'll explain it to you. F equals MA. F also equals G M1 M2 over R squared. Therefore, MA equals G M1 M2 over R squared. Divide the M's cancel. That leaves you with A equals G M divided by R squared. Got it?
Okay, simple. Aaron, can I give you a little bit of advice here?
Yeah.
All right, I'm a doctor. All right.
Yes,
Big
sir.
Blue is an engineer and is wicked smart. He is a lot smarter than I am. I would not cross Big Blue. He will cut you.
And this is what I was saying earlier. These people come into hangouts with so many smart people. They don't fucking listen. They don't give a shit. And they just reset the next day back to the beginning to where they were before. They're just absolute bollocks knowledge.
All right. Aaron, how fast does the Earth have to rotate for things to be weightless on the equator? We went through all of the math for this and did everything.
The Earth rotates, and I'll take the measurement. Yeah.
Gyro compass. There. Now, we already demonstrated.
Doesn't prove it. It proves
how's the gyro compass?
Well, wait a minute, Aaron. Aaron, you did the math on it. Do you remember the answer?
What was the answer, Aaron?
No, I didn't do the math. I was just writing shit down that Bob said.
What was the answer? And I said the answer, so you wrote that down.
I said none. The answer was none. Do you want me to show you the answer?
And I told you that it was wrong, and I gave you the correct answer. What was the correct answer that I gave you?
No rotation. You can't prove it.
Yes, I can with a gyro compass.
When was the rotation of the Earth ever proved?
Every day with a gyro compass. And
Can you
there's
tell me
about
the first
6 other.
time? The first time it was ever proved.
Gyro compass was invented in what? 1903.
Early
So before
1900s.
that, before that, the Earth was not rotating, right?
No, it was not. The Earth has always rotated. We've known that we were able to demonstrate it was rotating as long ago as 3,500 years ago.
Tell me when we were always able to demonstrate it.
3,500 years ago in China.
How? Okay, by a shadow?
There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Which one would you like?
I just want to know, when was the Earth first proved to be rotating?
The first time.
I told you 3,500 years ago in China.
In China?
No, excuse me, in India. In India, I'm sorry. It was India.
India.
Okay.
And Aaron, can you please at least you attempt to use correct words? It's not prove.
Demonstrated.
Okay, yeah. Demonstrated to be.
Okay. Now, before you start trying to go semantics and then try and build a straw man by saying, okay, well, it wasn't rotating before that. All right, tell me how a mechanical gyrocompass works. And the only words that you're allowed to use are angular momentum, torque, and rotation, and gyroscopic precession. Go.
Why are you limiting my language? This
Because
is called
those are
freedom
the
of
only
speech.
no, those are the only words that you need to use. Explain to me how gyroscopic precession finds true north on a gyrocompass.
A gyroscope doesn't find true north.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
A gyroscope does not find true north.
A gyroscope, no, a gyrocompass does. He's trying
I'm talking
to play,
about a gyrocompass.
Oh, okay, hold on. So how do I point a gyrocompass to the north? How do I point that?
It points itself.
How does
Tell me
it
how
do
that
that?
happens.
No,
Tell me how
I've
it
seen your
happens.
video. We don't need to go through this. Yeah.
Tell me how it happens.
I want to know, Bob, when was the first observation
I don't care.
that the Earth was spinning
I don't care.
in your history book?
I've already answered that twice, but I really don't care any further. I can demonstrate it is today.
Okay, so you can't answer it. Yeah. So there is
No, I already have
date.
answered it.
There is no date. Right? There is no like, yo, we're fucking spinning around, right?
I already gave you the date. You need to listen and talk. You need to listen more and talk less, Aaron. You might learn something. Now tell me how a gyrocompass works and why it finds true north. And I gave you the words that you could use.
I've watched all the debunk videos of your video, and so
there are no debunk videos of my video.
I'm at a neutral, Bob.
There are no debunk videos of my videos.
Yes, there are.
No, there aren't. I correctly described how a gyrocompass works.
Yes, there are.
Well, I'm happy to look at one.
I must admit that I did years ago. I did some crappy videos about flat Earth and
I've done crappy videos and I've been wrong.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I've done videos and none of them have been debunked in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Well. Okay.
No,
all right.
I've been wrong.
I'll be candid. I've been wrong. Let me be candid, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, have you ever used a gyrocompass?
What's that matter?
Bob, have you ever used a
All right, and I'm asking you, how does that matter at all? I've never had a baby.
You're asking me how it works, and you're the one that has never used one.
So,
right?
I know how it works.
You're asking me for the details to teach you how it works.
I don't know. There's nothing you're going to teach me.
Testing your
I'm
knowledge.
asking you. I already know how it
works. Let me be candid. Have you ever used a gyrocompass?
No. I told you that.
Okay. Neither have I. So, okay, we're at an impasse.
And the difference between you and I is that I actually know how it works. Why don't you tell me how it works?
Have you ever used one?
I don't need to.
Aaron, have you ever been on?
See, that's a false statement there, Sean.
Have you ever
when he goes, I don't need to. It kind of goes into religion. Like, well, I don't need to know. I don't need to ever bow down.
I didn't say that at all. I said that I didn't need to have personally used one to know how it works. Have you ever personally flown an airplane?
Yes,
airplanes
my dad's a private pilot. Yes, he is.
Did you fly an aircraft as pilot in command?
I've flown with my father. Yes.
Okay. Did you control the aircraft?
I watched him do it.
Okay. So, do pilots exist? Do airplanes exist if you haven't done it yourself?
Have you ever used a gyrocompass? You said
I've
no.
already answered that.
I haven't. No. You asked me in the retort if I've ever been on an airplane. I said yes. You said with who? I said with my dad. So I'm going to ask you the question. Do you know anybody that has ever used a gyrocompass? Do you know anyone?
It sounds to me like that monkey is testing the cage again.
Yeah, I think he's getting pretty close.
Dr. Bob. Do you
Yes,
know
I do.
anyone
I actually dropped
that's
a
ever
dropped
used
the
a
photo in the
gyrocompass?
chat that kind of
Do you
brings
know
us back
anyone?
to
Yes, I
what's going
do,
on here.
Aaron. Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Well, that's as good as me sitting next to my
And
dad
so do you.
and playing, right?
And so do you. Who do you know that has used a gyro compass?
They're used quite
Who's an
extensively.
officer? Who do you talk to that's an officer in the Navy?
Not that I
Oh,
talked
maybe
to.
Bob, you're breaking up.
Schrodinger's?
Yeah, maybe freaking Cliff's. Yeah, maybe Cliff might know how to do it. All right.
Cliff has
Think maybe
definitely
because
used
that's
one.
his freaking job. Yes. My brother, who's in the Merchant Marine. All right.
Anybody that drives a cruise ship?
Anybody that's it's used for marine navigation. All right. So what's your
Sean
point?
Smith.
That doesn't
Sean Smith. By the way,
make
they don't.
any difference. Tell me how a gyro compass works using the terms that I gave you.
Sean Smith. They don't drive cruise ships. They sail them, right? Even though they're big ships,
Tell me, Aaron. Look,
Just fucking with you, Sean.
Sean.
It's okay.
Hey, Sean, do me a favor. If he doesn't answer this question, would you kindly boot him from the chat? Aaron, how does a gyro compass work using the terms I gave you?
Sure. It's Mm. Listen, Bob, you're not going to buy what I tell you because you already have a preconceived notion of exactly how you want it to work.
No, I know exactly how it does.
I will tell you how it works. You spin it up, and you point it towards the direction, the longitude that you want to hold on to. You have to set it to that direction.
Okay, Sean, he's just he's gone. All right, he just described a directional heading indicator, not a gyro compass, because he didn't bother looking. Yep.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's a directional heading indicator that he discussed, and that's found on aircraft. A mechanical gyro compass involves holding the angular momentum of the gyroscope to the horizon, and as a result of that torque, it precesses to align itself with the axis of rotation, which is due north. That's how a mechanical gyro compass works, and it requires the rotation of the Earth in order to function. But you guys already knew that, didn't you?
I'm still trying to
I
wrap
just
my head
can't
around
believe it took he went to the fucking question. It's such an easy question to answer.
It's easy because you can either do one of two things. You can either go to Wiki, which tells you exactly how it works, or you can sit down and be a man and say, look, I don't know. I would like to know. All right, teach me how it works. And I would tell him. How long did it take me to tell you guys how to do it? You already knew it anyhow. But, I mean, it's a pretty simple thing.
Where'd Aaron go?
I think he's gone because he refused to answer the question.
I don't think he has. I don't know in his vocabulary.
Oh, I think he does, and he can probably say it in a couple of different languages. He chooses not, simply because he wants to be a contrarian.
Well, I don't know how gyrus compass works, like as in the way you can explain it. But I've been watching a few different videos of how gyros work, so now I know how they work. Now I've just got to work out how they work as a compass.
All right, you know that with a gyroscope, if you've got a spinning gyroscope and you push it off to the side, you apply a torque to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you were to take your right hand and curl your fingers in the direction of that torque, see what I mean? So if you were to take your fingertips and just gently push over on the axis of that, the axis of spin of that gyro, and push it over, you're putting a torque on it in the direction
Yeah.
of your fingers. Stick your thumb straight out. That's the direction of the force. So what'll happen is the gyroscope will actually tilt in the direction of your thumb. Now, if you start off a gyroscope and point it at the horizon in the east, you don't have to point it anywhere, but that just makes it easy, right? If you point it at the horizon in the east, as the day goes on, rigidity in space will have that gyroscope try and rise up as if to follow the sun, right? I mean, you see how it would try and rise up as the Earth rotated underneath it? If you force it back down, that's applying a torque to the angular momentum. By the right-hand rule, the force of that torque will be exerted, twisting the angular momentum in the direction of your thumb towards true north. That will continue until that gyroscope is locked on the axis of rotation and pointing true north. That's how a gyroscope works. It's forced to stay down on the horizon. A torque is applied to it, and as a result, it twists, it precesses to align itself with the axis of rotation and true north. They're really freaking cool. But once you understand it, it just really, a light goes on in your head and you see exactly how it works. Now the trick is making it do that, which involves counterweights and mercury and oil and, you know, spinning up the gyroscope and keeping it spinning without inducing an additional torque. I mean, it's a technical engineering feat to make it happen, but the concept itself is pretty straightforward. I think Sean's going to bed here.
Yeah, we got 6 minutes. Also, Bob, something you should know about Aaron. He's admitted it in side chats. He's a troll. That's all he is. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he believes the Earth is a globe. He literally just does this so he can get a rise out of people. He's getting kicks out of it.
Yeah, that's why I probably won't have any further discussions with him. At least not related to flat Earth.
He
We had a
loves.
good
He just loves to come on, hang out and destroy them.
I think he actually was rather interested in our discussion of narcotics this evening, but that's why he didn't. That's why he didn't disrupt it.
Yeah, and then of course there's the he brings up the fake news reports from China about paralysis, and then he doesn't understand the causes of paralysis or anything about it.
Yeah, I was hoping
Not
you
even
guys.
Go ahead.
I was hoping you guys were going to discuss distal cranial paralysis, which I think is the cause of flat Earth syndrome.
It's not contagious, I hope.
Rectal cranial inversion.
Yeah, that goes right along with distal cranial paralysis and rectal cranial inversion. Yep.
And it could be hereditary.
You see, I know a little bit about Blue's wheelhouse, and he knows a little bit about mine.
Actually, it's cranial rectal impaction, I think is what you call it.
Cranial rectal impaction. That is correct. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what you were talking about there for a minute, but yeah, cranial rectal impaction means shoving your head up your ass.
Oh god, what do we used to say for that other one? Primary phallic cephalus syndrome, being a dickhead.
Yep. We used to actually use the term CCF, CCP on the radio when we were coming back. When I was a paramedic, we had a code for CCF, CCP, which stands for Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
You get some of those.
more than you would believe.
I still think one of my all-time favorite stories. Go ahead.
You know, we had a few of them. One of them stabbed one of my nurses with her own pen. He was admitted to be in a safe space. I figured jail was a pretty damn safe space, so that's where we transferred him. We turfed him to county. I do. You can send all the super chats you want over to me and spam the fuck out of my channel, but it's $50 a pop.
I could do a few.
Yeah, I need a new headset.
I got a Patreon too, Aaron. You can contribute to.
Yeah, I got a Patreon, man. For $20 a month, I'll send you one of my semi-patented triple water levels.
Terry needs subs.
I got two of them. I got two of them in the car. One's going to Australia and one's going to North Dakota.
What?
I'm sending out two of my. I had two $20 a month Patreons, so they each get a triple water level from me. I think I may send one to you too, just for shits and giggles, Blue.
Oh, goody.
You don't have mugs?
Problem is, no, I don't have any mugs. I'm working on them. We have a very complex relationship with my thing. Basically, I make all the videos, and my wife gets all the money. So
I got a bone to pick with you anyway, Bob.
What do I do now?
What's that lake over in South Australia called?
Lake Air?
Yeah, you said it right this time. In your video, You didn't say it. You didn't say it like that in the video.
I know. Yeah, but you see, I didn't take much, but you got to remember, I always put, I always spelled Australia AILIA. I did that until probably last year. Australia, yeah. You fuckers don't exist anyhow. You're just a myth. I've never
sounds like
been
Bob's a
Australia.
racist.
Yeah.
Nah.
Did you just hear about Ayers Rock closing down completely now? That was yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Actually, I'm not really a racist at all.
What do you mean?
I freaking like Aussies.
Sorry,
Aussies
what
are
do you mean?
freaking
What do you mean they're closing it down?
How do you close down a rock?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah, they're closing it down. Yeah,
It's a big ass red rock, isn't it?
Yeah, they're going to move
It's like
it.
it's not going to go anywhere.
They're going to set. Somebody in Texas has bought it, and they're going to move it.
Now that I could understand.
Yeah.
we need that sucker in Texas. There's not much going on in Texas. There you go.
Yay.
All right.
Is that good or bad, Sean?
Did I fix my headphones?
Yeah. Did you want to listen to us?
I was still listening. I just couldn't have my mic on. I couldn't.
No, I do have kind of prejudice with all the people that I talk. I figure that, Australians and Americans are kind of cut from the same cloth. We're kind of the same types of people. We just kind of, one of us talks a little funny.
Yeah.
Canadians are like Americans with manners and good health care.
Are you kidding, Bob? Aren't we all the same?
No. And the
English in America, we do bacon like no one else does bacon.
We do real bacon here.
And
I always kind of looked at the English as kind of like a respected cousin.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a thing We used to have a thing here years ago where we were always 20 years behind America. We had this, but I think we're catching up slowly.
Well, I hate to tell you this. My mom and stepdad went to Australia a couple of years ago, and they said that it really was a beautiful place. You'd never heard police sirens, and it was like America in the 50s when things were really cool.
Yeah, you can leave your car unlocked with your keys in the car down the local shopping centre, and your car will be there when you come back.
Aussies are.
I've seen your car.
Aussies are.
Shut up, you.
It's a bloody ute stick out the back. Nobody's going to nick it.
Now, I do remember when I went to Canada, they seemed like, they're what I remember the 70s like here. It's not that they're really behind us or anything. They just have a different flavor to it's just kind of like a different flavor to the neighborhoods,
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. The 50s were cool. My favorites were the 80s, but 80s were fucking awesome.
I don't remember the 80s.
I just remember big girls with big hair.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
Now, girls with big hair and ZZ Top music videos. I remember a lot of those.
Well, all right, gentlemen. I have to get
And
my
sirens.
kid ready for school or to bed to go to school, and that requires me to not be yelling at him already. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off so I can get him to sleep and keep this stream a good stream with peaceful conversation all the way to the end.
Well, I got to go to work tomorrow too.
Bob, thank you.
I'm
much.
working
Thank you.
right now.
I mean the whole 75% of this stream. I appreciate everything you said. You know, when you were discussing, you know, the pain stuff and the medical and rec, all that stuff, and the 17,000. Mind fucking blown. Holy crap.
Yep. Now, the next thing you have to do is all right, look up Kepler's laws. I've got a video on that where this is all just really nice and easily laid out. That was the first of the big fountain pen on the dining room table episodes. It's an older one. It's from it's from Flat Earth Can't Science, as I recall. I think, if not, it's from Northwood Scientist. But I went through Kepler's laws of motion, and if you use that, it's a little simpler equation. I keep getting them confused. Is it t cubed over r squared? I don't know. Go look at it. But in any event, if you know the period, you can calculate the distance. So try and figure out how far out a satellite has to be to rotate or to orbit once in 24 hours. Find out where geosynchronous orbit is. And you can do it in a matter of seconds if you know how to, you know, if you just use the equation and plug the numbers in.
I think I know the number, but I'll fact check myself, and then next time I see you, I'll do it.
Yeah, just calculate it, man. And then you can also calculate the orbital period using Kepler's laws for the ISS, and you'll find out it comes up to the same thing as using, balancing G and centrifugal force. But if you do it with Kepler's laws, you'll come up with the same answer because they basically are derived from the same thing.
All right.
Well, I went to work that reminds me to look at Epic and get depressed.
We're gonna do the last words because if I don't, my kid's gonna keep staring at me like he's gonna beat me up.
All right, good night, guys. Y'all take
Bob,
care.
You got anything coming up, Bob? Nothing?
No.
Okay.
I haven't made any videos in a while, and I think, to be honest with you, I think I'm pretty well out of flat Earth. I'm going to go into medical marijuana and aerospace here pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely
interested. I'm going to Phoenix. I'm going to Phoenix this on Tuesday for a CME.
Well, it's not summertime, so.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of cool because I'm going to fly from Detroit to Salt Lake down to Phoenix. Flying from Detroit to Salt Lake is kind of like going due west. I'm wondering if I could bring one of my scales in a weight. I wonder if I could do like some science shit.
I always wondered if car odometers, they don't care which direction you go in. They measure distance. Doesn't matter which way you go. And if you drive west in a certain direction and drive north in a certain direction, well, if it doesn't match what's going on with Google Earth, then there's going to be something wrong, right?
Yeah, I've always thought if you can calculate accurately 1 mile, you can measure the Earth.
Exactly.
All you gotta do is
1 mile is 1
mile.
Well, I'm gonna actually do an experiment going out to Salt Lake. I'm gonna try and measure the Ophos effect, and then I'm gonna measure it coming back from Phoenix to Detroit. It's not quite west to east. It's a little bit to the northeast, but I should be able to get an Ophos effect out of that one too. But probably a little less than the other one going the other way, because I think the other way is a little more direct east-west. And then I'm going to start playing. I built a Astrolab the other day from Plans Online.
Nice.
and I made it out of paper and cardstock and stuff, and it's pre-printed, and I've got all of the stuff. Actually, on my webpage right now is a link to building an astrolab. And we're going to have a couple episodes on how to use an astrolab to tell time and do other cool stuff. And then, thanks to Schrodinger's cat, I'm gonna whip out my my sextant, and I'm gonna start shooting.
I just got
some
one.
angles.
It's a very tiny.
You got
one.
us.
It's small. It's like 3 inches, 4 inches, but
It's not the size that matters, Sean.
No, it is. It is. I'm
That's
not
true.
One of those. I am not one
But
of those.
just
types.
remember,
it's.
I got a 9-inch sextant, man.
Oh,
just
of course you
remember
have.
that shit. And I got a picture of it that I show. So
Is that when it's fully extended?
That's you can extend it from there.
This is the new sexting.
Yeah.
I tell everyone if Bob's got a new sex toy.
Hey guys.
But we're gonna do artificial horizons, and then we're gonna try and go out to northern Lake Michigan and do some real horizons over the lake.
The fun part is I have a peep sight, and I can do the same things, and I don't need a sextant, Bob.
No, you really don't. No, you really don't. And as a matter of fact, it'd be kind of cool to see how accurate we could get it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
I may just bring a protractor. I may bring a protractor and a piece of fishing line and a weight. I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up all the time. Take care, guys.
No worries, sir. I just gotta get out of here. I'm actually going to. Hang on. Who's here? Blue, you got anything coming up?
Nah, nothing significant.
I'm just I'm cruising down the list to see if anybody I know that's content creating that wants to say anything. Terry, you doing your show right now? After?
Well, at this point, you might as well just say.
I'm still going to try to do my Wednesday show. I've got a bit of an issue with playing videos, but I'll still keep plodding on.
Okay.
That link's not working, by the way.
DK, did you want to say something real quick? I heard you start. Going once, going twice. All right, guys, I'm gonna let Aaron say his final word. So, Aaron, final word, go. Go. You're muted, man.
He can hear you.
You're muted, Aaron. Fuck. He's such.
Hold on. Okay. Hey, can you hear me? Everybody.
Yeah, we hear you. No, wait. Make sure that microphone is red because we can't hear you right now. Is it red? If it's red, then we can hear you.
Shut up, Sean. I got it.
I tried, guys.
Alright, everybody go over to Terry Davies. I do appreciate Bob the Science Guy for all his heartfelt, production towards his skills. Love that. Everybody, that's why we have these panels, I think, is to show what we're all good at.
15 seconds.
However, there are other questions, and I hope we can all just sit here and peacefully answer them. And let's go from there. Thanks, Sean, for having me on. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Aaron. I do appreciate that. Brian, did you want to say anything? I usually do, so I didn't want to leave you out.
Oh, I was just going to say, Blue, if you want to see your gorilla face, I recommend going over to Tau Study Alpha. He has the Troll versus Trolls clip where we try to explain to Anthony that 5 divided by 0 is not 5.
John,
I'll take a look.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out. I've been listening in. Bob gave some great information, and it's just been a good hangout.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
Yeah, I got, man, so far a lot of knowledge going in through this stream. So thank you guys. I do appreciate that. I'm gonna get out of here now. Make sure I didn't miss anyone that wanted to say anything. If you did, go ahead and speak up. I don't mean that's everyone. Sasha, if you wanted to go, I'm not sure if you had anything. Just so everyone knows, Sasha owes us all a LIGO presentation. He is a kid, so he's busy. So screw us. When he's ready, he's ready. But don't worry, I trust him. He'll come through eventually.
At the latest, it will be done over Thanksgiving.
Awesome, sir. If you need longer, let me know. Like I said, man, I'm messing around. I know you're a kid. You got kid stuff to do. Better than us teaching us LIGO when we can just go drive there and figure it out for ourselves. So don't worry about it. I'll just messing with you. All right, guys. We'll go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to end the hangout. Thank you. I do appreciate the heck out of everyone that was here. Dr. Bob, man, oh you. Everything you said, all the information. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got to get my kid to sleep because he is thinking he's going to play video games all night. But, you know how I roll. But this is what we're going to do. Tomorrow I'll be live. And one of the things that I want to make very clear is that tomorrow I will be talking flat Earth, like deep flat Earth, for the sake of the fact that I'm calling Travis out. Here's the thing. Now, hear me out, please. I'm not calling Travis out on that information anymore. I've actually been passing that information around probably for the past 2-3 days now, and there's one very, very clear thing. Not even other flat earthers are willing to say it's anything but refraction, maybe, but body of water, ether band, it is dead. Sorry, Travis, but I'm calling him out because the words he said to me, or words he said to me in his chat, were, "You tricked me onto your panel and set me up when Erebus came on." So here's the thing, Travis. I'm willing to go back in the footage. I'm willing to go back in your evidence and your observations and see who's being honest and who's not. Otherwise, Travis, keep my name out your mouth. Love you guys. Peace.